Let's do the damn thing.
Oh, you know what time it is. It's time to take it to the Birdland. It's about to go down. Hope y'all ready. Yeah, let's go. Come and roll with me to the Birdland. Friends got to giving you the word, man. Any other BS is absurd, man. Sports talking, they give it to you firsthand. They can talk Terps, they can talk O's. Yeah, they both lit. That's how it goes. Baltimore squad, Ravens and Bo. Better tune in. Here gonna the show. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS. Birdland, Birdland, Birdland. BS.
It's all about that BS, people.
What's up, BSers?
What's up? Yes, you did. You did hear Fred's voice, but that's not Fred. That's Drew. We got Drew, myself. Fred is over there in the producer chair. He'll show himself in a little bit, and we got James over there on the casting couch. Ryan, allergies getting the best of him tonight. Wish you the best of luck, buddy. Yeah,
Ryan's got a runny nose.
Hey, look, I mean,
Poor
in
guy.
defense, if anyone who was missing him, then it's good because he's probably been hawking the whole time. So I guess dodged a bullet.
Oh, man. Well, we got a great show for you guys because as the title says, we're going to get to it in a few minutes when we start the Ravens segment. But we all have crows in front of us because we got some eating to do. Every single one of us has some eating to do. That's for sure. So we're going to get into that because we eat some major crow as the Ravens wipe the floor with the Chargers using a heavy run game, which was nice to see.
That's reminds you of 2019.
It does.
Different casts, similar results.
It was nice. Now they prepare to take on the Bengals, the Bungles. But we got some rough news about the O-line hopes for the remainder of the year today. So sad news.
Yeah, sadly, yeah.
You really hope it winds up working out. So we'll get into that here in a little bit. And in this week's rundown, we're talking college football departures, Diva wide receivers versus Diva Media. We all know what's coming on there.
Tale as old as time.
And MLB playoffs and more. So tune in. But before we do, why don't you give our sponsors a shout out?
You know what time it is. If you ain't got the number, let's just get out of the way now. You ain't got it. You ain't going to ever have it. But if you're ever injured at work or in an auto accident, like some people more than others, and not sure who to call.
Have you been railed yet?
I've gotten hurt at work, but I've never bad enough. So, I mean, it's going to happen eventually.
All right.
855-MD-CRASH are the Maryland personal injury attorneys that have your back. If you find yourself in an unfortunate situation, give our team at MD Crash a call right away. We all know that costs of medical bills, lost wages, and pain and suffering can all add up quickly and potentially put you in a bad financial position forever. If you want that team that will handle your case, big or small, and just give you that nice peace of mind, save this number, again, 855-MD-CRASH. That's 855-632-7274. Be sure to follow them on Facebook for those fun giveaways.
All right. Thanks for going there, Drew, for us. Fred, you're over in the producer seat. This is a different view for you tonight.
It is a little bit of a different view, but you know what? I'm going to try it out. It's been a minute since I've done this. I'm looking forward to it, man. This was a big week for the Ravens, a huge game. Like you said earlier, man, they got back to Raven football, running the football, playing good defense, sound special teams, contributions from the special teams. And you know what? We got to start. We got to start by giving credit where credit is due, because we all harp on all the negativity around Greg Roman and Wink Martindale when they don't show out. Let me tell you, Greg Roman, Wink Martindale, and Chris Horton, special teams coordinator, that's right, there it is, all showed out in this game in a very, very big way.
And to that fact, I like that. I think just the coaching staff in general. A lot of times you think of the coordinators because it comes ahead with them and the head coach. But I mean, man, really, just all around, it's still just spots like the O-line. There's so many moving parts, and no, it's not great, but it also ain't doesn't feel like bottom of worst offense in the league like it felt against that Raiders game.
No, and I know that some people are chiming in out there, and we're gonna get into that in a little bit. Nick Short saying give Harbs credit a lot to that. We're gonna get into that a little bit later on. A lot to talk about and unpack with this. One thing I did want to start with.
Wait a second. We got to unpack first by owning
I was going to wait to own it, but okay.
No. Let's eat that crow. Let's get it out of the way. The show title, Crow Feast, man. Rightfully so. All five of us, there's 4 of us here to face the fire.
Yeah.
Somebody else dealing with a runny
I think
nose.
now I know why he's not here.
Yeah,
He didn't want to eat
exactly.
crow. That's what
He's
this is
allergic.
about.
He's allergic to crow. It ain't pollen.
All right, so I'll start us off here because I definitely thought that what we saw out of the Chargers so far this season, the Ravens were going to have a hard time with them. This offense has been a high-powered offense. You had a lot of weapons for Justin Herbert, who, up until yesterday, and even still after yesterday, has a case, or not yesterday, Sunday, has a case for MVP for the league, right? There's people that are making that case. This was an unexpected, but a pleasantly unexpected performance after some of the struggles that we've seen this defense have, some of the injuries, the guys going down, and the struggles they've had of maintaining some of these teams. To hold a high-flying team like the Chargers and the way they've been manhandling other teams offensively, just crazy to see. So I will gladly eat this crow today because the Ravens whooped some ass on all facets. To your point, Fred, offensively, defensively, special teams came up big at times. It was every facet of the game. We're going to give credit to Harbs later, but he's where I give the most credit to because he had these guys stepping up and believing in what they were doing. So, eat that crow.
Drew, your turn. Eat that crow.
I'm going to take a little different route.
All right.
Still eating crow. Same thing Scott said. I mean, I looked at the slow start that he had against the Colts, and it was an awesome game. It was a miraculous comeback. It was all cool. Everything, we loved it. My fear was if you start off slow again, it's not happening. You know what I mean? Like, look what Wentz did, and Herbert's way better than Wentz. He still is. My crow is going to be something I haven't mentioned on the show yet, and it's all been in our group chat during games. My crow will be for Devin Duvernay.
There you go. There you go.
I wasn't the Colts game. It was after the who they played for the Colts. Why am I drawing a blank?
Before the Colts.
Before the Colts,
it was Lions.
Lions, yeah.
So no, it was the Broncos game.
Oh, Broncos.
When I said something, and it was he took the instead of running it out, he took the fair catch. It was on like the 6.
Right.
And we've seen stuff like that where it's questionable call, even though everyone was chiming him being the top punt returner. Those last couple of games, you haven't had those little mistakes, and I mean, hell of a return to start. The return is still there, so I'll eat my crow for him because it was mainly the decisions. It was not his return ability, and no doubt there, but it was just the concern of like you're gonna fumble on the 5 or you're gonna let a ball go when you should have took it, and it's gonna cost us. So for now, but
Eat
no,
that
I
crow.
will
You're eating that crow. Eat that crow. All right, James, your turn, but friend.
Yeah, we're eating the crow tonight. I thought the Chargers were going to come in here and, whip some ass, and it was totally the opposite. You can thank the defense for mostly for this win, but everybody was shitting all over Levine.
Yeah.
He was like a totally different person.
Levine or
Averitt.
I mean, Averitt. I'm sorry.
Averitt.
Yeah.
Averitt. And, also when you have a young coach that doesn't know how it is to travel from the West Coast to the East Coast. And I seen someone comment about it. I don't want to hear excuse for coming from the West to the East. It's a big difference. Mm-hmm. I don't care what anybody says, but most coaches come on Friday and have the extra day. And apparently he flew in Saturday night. And then, they just would like, sleeping on the field. And Herbert looked like he was in a concussed mode the whole game. So I'm going to eat my crow.
Eat it.
I was wrong. That defense stepped up and showed us looking like shit to looking like Golden Corral, all you can eat.
There we go.
All right, man.
Eat crow.
Listen, I'll gladly eat this crow. I told you before, man. This is I don't usually bet against the Ravens. I try not to bet against them too often anyway. This was a game that I thought it was going to have to be like the Chiefs, where we're going to have to tit for tat, keep up with them. This explosive offense, right? Is Greg Roman going to go into panic mode like we've seen in the past? Is he going to have to try to outdo Herbert like he tried to outdo Mahomes in the years past? He didn't. He stuck with his game plan. The Chargers came in with a very different game plan than I expected. They tried to specifically shut down Lamar and the deep pass in this game. So what did they do? They beat them with Ravens football by running the ball and then short underneath passes, moving the chains, efficient offense. That's just on the offensive side of the ball. So credit to Greg Roman. The other side, Wink Martindale. I should never lose faith in Wink Martindale. I should never lose faith in this defense, regardless of how they played, because this is a very prideful defense. This is a team that does not like going out there and playing bad football, right? They take that personally. So I should have known that they'd have this kind of a bounce back. You got a quarterback in Herbert coming in here that's never seen this defense before, or Wink's creativity with the different pressures and concepts and schemes. I should have known that this would be a game that the Ravens could actually win. So I will gladly eat that crow this week.
All right. Sure. Well, now that we've all eaten crow, you know, who didn't have Ben Cleveland's number? He could have gotten us some actual crow.
Probably. Got a whole
smorgasbord
of woodland creatures.
Yeah, right. But kind of obviously, we're going to get into more of the game breakdown. One thing I did want to talk about before we actually get into the game itself was the news that came out regarding Louisville and what they were doing for Lamar. First of all, Ravens media yet again.
Always.
Yet again. Emmy award-winning Ravens media. Let's say that again, Emmy award-winning in their production with this. But they play him a little video of the dean and the AD telling him that they're retiring his number 8, right? And then he gets in there with some of the people that he played with, some of the people that coached him, some of the people that kind of housed him and took care of him. A lot of different people, head coach as well. Great to see that situation. And he becomes only the second card to have his number retired. And the other one, for those of you that don't know, Johnny Unitas. Yeah. That's right. We've talked about him coming from Louisville before, but to be in that same talks, and now you're playing in the same city that Johnny Unitas played in. It's emotional. There's a lot to go and unpack here, and credit to them, credit to the Cards with this. They just felt, look, you've already done so much for the organization. They talked about what he's done for the Baltimore community, and just that he did that same thing for the Louisville community as well. Just great to see. What's your take on the whole situation?
Yeah, if you haven't seen the video, go check it out. I mean, it's a couple of minutes. It's pretty cool, especially if you're already a huge fan of the kid. It's just, it goes to show you the impact he makes, like you said. I mean, like I always say, it's just so funny when you watch him have an interview with one of the sideline reporters after the game. It's always like Miss Lisa this and Miss Lisa that. It's just, it shows you the cool nature and the good guy mentality that he has. Cool honor. I love it.
Very cool honor. By the way, so we're getting called out right here, right now by Craig Zero.
Oh, yeah?
Because we did make the promise that if the Ravens won and went against our bet, not only would we eat crow, that we would do a shot live on air, if you remember correctly last week.
I will make that happen before this segment's over,
exactly.
for sure.
You get us going over there, Mr. Bartender / producer.
I got you.
But no, so a lot to unpack as well with the news today. And I got to bring it up before we get into the game just because it's fresh in our minds. Mm-hmm. Ronnie Stanley releases a statement early this morning that he was placed on IR. He will have season-ending ankle surgery again. Again. Sucks, right? Because you just paid the guy. Looking forward to coming back healthy in 2022. Big loss for the Ravens for the rest of the season, or are you okay considering he hasn't been here for the first 6 weeks? Like, where's your mindset on this?
It's a loss regardless, but if it would have been a situation where, say, he comes back like after the bye or something, and you're still hurt, but like you could play through it, are you really 100% Ronnie Stanley at that point? Because it's hard to say that would be the case. The worry I have is, and I don't try to be like Debbie Downer, and I'm never one of these overly pessimistic guys and want to like drive things off a cliff, but it just worries you that you know what I mean? Like, you thought he was ready and then he's not, and now he's having another surgery. Are we going to have issues with this for the rest of his career? And you just signed him to that deal.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really, really good point.
That's my worry. It sucks to be overly pessimistic. I don't mean to for anyone. I'm not saying anyone's going to call me out. That's not my aim. It is your worry, though, when these guys sign contracts and it's football. You get hurt. You know what I mean? Just for anybody. So just that nature of thinking when he's back healthy for the season, then he's not.
Yo, thanks, Zach. Appreciate it.
Appreciate the donation, Zach. No, I'm right there with you. Listen, so first and foremost, my concerns for the player himself, for the person in Ronnie Stanley. He's a good dude. Nobody can predict these kind of things. Injuries happen. It sucks. He just got this major payday and all that. But what I won't stand for are the fans that are out there, criticizing him for this injury, calling him soft and all these things. This is a major ankle injury that you're talking about a 300-pound plus lineman that's got to use that ankle for leverage, right? And obviously the first surgery or two that he's had, because there's been rumors that he's had multiple surgeries on it already, haven't done the trick. And it could be a career-ending type of thing. So you have to go through, the entire gambit of effort and going through this third surgery. Hopefully this one corrects it. Does it suck not having him out there? Absolutely. He's an all-pro left tackle, right? And you want every bit of protection out there that you can get for Lamar Jackson. But at the end of the day, my first and foremost concern is with him and him having a healthy life from here on out. That's a rough injury, and it could cost him the rest of his career.
Yeah, and like you said, it's all about protecting Lamar, and it's one of those things that we want to make sure that we can do it. Joe Carlozo.
That's a good one.
It really is. But so one of the things as we talk about the game, right? Obviously protecting Lamar, big thing. But the other side of that is also this offensive line and what we needed them to do for the run game, just in general. And they really stepped up in this game. So I will give my shot to the O-line here because they played fairly well in this game. There were times that Lamar was scrambling, but he was able to throw from the pocket. They were also able to give these running backs some room. I mean, let's look at the running game, right? 38 carries for 187 yards, 4.9 on average. That's kind of like meh, right? Mm-hmm. But what about the three of them being TDs, right? One for each. Murray, 9 carries for 44, averaging 4.9 for 1 TD. 9 carries for 53 yards for Freeman, who looked good. This is coming from a guy over here that was ready to get rid of Freeman about 3 weeks ago.
I still say should be Tyson, but
I think Tyson needs to be given a more of a fair shot. But I said that this was the time to test.
Yeah,
this was the time to see what you had, right? And we see it.
It's
we also
Bell.
see, Bell, 8 carries, 18 yards, but he did have a nice TD run. He was wide open. If he didn't get there, there was a problem. Lamar could have gotten there.
Get there. He should just retire in game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I will say that my shot goes to the O-line here because they played well enough to let these guys be able to do this. And really, they had Lamar moving a little bit, but it wasn't enough that it caused any major issues. Yes, 2 interceptions, but
the second one's a little bit.
Yeah, one of them is a little shady. So that's where my shot goes on this. How about you?
My shot will go to a guy that made his return this week, and that'll be Deshaun Elliott.
Yes, sir.
Got his first career pick too. So I mean that's cool to see.
Ooh, pumpkin. Pumpkin.
Is it? I didn't. Yeah,
it's pumpkin.
I'm not gonna drink it. No, I will. And it just showed that what we were missing, at least a part of what we were missing, because when he came back in, things were better. And like I said, first game back, pick.
Yeah.
Anytime a guy that has a couple games off and gets a pick, whether it's his first or his 20th, it's still a big kudos, even more than getting it almost every week. So for me, it's him being back and shoring up a missing spot.
Okay. I like it. I like where you're going there. But listen, here goes my shot. My shot goes to the unsung hero, the old guy of the group, the welcome back to Baltimore, Josh Bynes, Mr. Josh Bynes. This dude was a complete difference maker for the linebacker core. We talk about all the struggles that Patrick Queen, Malik Harrison, and that linebacker core has had, specifically, with just tackling. This defense through the middle was fundamentally completely different, much more sound. I mean, they held one of the best running backs, Austin Eckler, to basically nothing in this game. They gave up, I think 30 yards rushing in this game. They gave up next to nothing. And again, he was all over the field. It wasn't just how he was against the run. It wasn't just how he was in tackling. He was very good in coverage as well. I think Josh Bynes finds a similar LJ Fort type of role moving forward with his defense, and I think it's big for them.
And this is the third time that we've seen him in this organization. So he knows it. He said that he loves the organization, right? So he's all about the organization, what we're doing, what we stand for. And it just goes to show you that when you have some of these guys, coming in and coming back, right? The value that they bring. We've talked about that before. He played well, to your point. I think Calais in the backfield, he had 2 tackles for a loss in this game. I think, James kind of mentioned it earlier, so I'm going to throw it to you, James. James, what did you see out of Anthony Averitt in this game? Because you gave him a shout out about the fact that he had a big game.
Nah, he looked like a totally different person. He looks like how Drew said, the Joker. Like, he actually looked like he was an all-pro out there covering his wide receivers.
Yep.
And mind you, you're playing with 2 of the top wide receivers in the game with Williams and Allen. And also, Eckler didn't do much in this game, too. And I thought, like, he was going to be like the ball and chain, get everything going, like start from him, from running and catching the ball in the outfield. But, like I said, this defense looked like a Pro Bowl defense. Like, they didn't miss anybody, and they didn't miss a beat from doing what they should be doing all year, filling in for guys that are injured. And I have to say, I'm glad Barnes is back. Barnes, because I'm sorry, I'm like Fred. I'm like Patrick Queen's got to do something, but no one was in place to replace him.
Yeah, I mean, the thing in this game, Patrick Queen does go down in this game. True there. Patrick Queen does go down in this game with a little, scary injury situation. He didn't get up right away. To me, it looked like he took a cleat to the like very close to the crotch area.
Yeah.
And that's all it was. And I think maybe a little bit of the quad was just sore.
I'm glad you saw that, because our group chat was like, oh shit, he's gone.
Yeah,
I know we don't like him right now, but he's gone. That sucks.
Just the way when he came up and his head was still down. We've all had that feeling.
Yeah.
Your head's on the ground. You're not quite cupping it, but you need to cup it to make it feel better. But you're in front of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's what it looked like in this situation to me. But another shout out in this game, Justin Houston. We got him because of his ability to get to the quarterback and finish. What does he do in this game? He picks up another sack. That puts him at 99.5 sacks. That means he's a half a sack away from his 100th career sack. Very impressive.
I think he's going to get it this week.
I hope he gets it this week.
I think he's going to get it this week.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. You could give game balls all around to this defense because, it was a true group effort. Marlon Humphrey looked like the all-pro Marlon Humphrey
didn't look injured like we thought he was at the end of the last game.
And right. And that's where I'm saying, when there's no holes or less holes with like Elliott, Deshaun Elliott being back, there's less holes. It's almost like it's less that Marlon has to worry about and can focus on what he should be doing.
It's less that him and Chuck have to worry about.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So the other part of that is Chuck Clark has played great football since he's been a starter, right? But there is a difference in Chuck Clark's game when Deshaun Elliott's out there, because it's one less thing that he has to worry about. He knows where he's going to be. They have the ability to communicate back and forth pretty seamlessly and easy. So you could see that. And again, Elliott is just a very fundamentally sound tackler. So it's a big, big thing having Elliott back. It can't go without being said for sure.
And how much did it help this defense, right? That it was a packed house. And Fred, you were there.
Yeah.
Right? The crowd was into this game. Herbert looked confused at times. I think it's kind of the way that you referred to it, Fred. It just seemed like he was off. He has not seen a defense like this. One of the things that Wink talked about in his pregame pressers all week were they've got to give him a bunch of different pictures, meaning they wanted to give him a bunch of different looks, and boy, did they in that first quarter. They gave him, I don't know how many different looks. He didn't know who was coming, when they were coming. There was the blitz off the edge at times. It looked good, and he looked confused.
He looked like a rookie again.
He did.
I mean, he's not a rookie now, but he looked like
he looked like he should have been back under Tyrod.
Yeah, definitely. and definitely looked a little bit like, this came a little way too fast than I expected it to come.
And Herbert was very complimentary of Wink and this defense and the different looks that he gave and presented. It was something like he had never seen before, completely unexpected. So that goes to show, he was rattled, and you could see it. First of all, I didn't realize how big of a human Justin Herbert is. He is a big boy. Like, he is Ben Roethlisberger when Ben Roethlisberger was young. Like, stature.
He's Ben Roethlisberger. He has the ability to be Ben Roethlisberger 2.0.
I think he's a more
I think they've
athletic.
got that stable quarterback for a year. I really do.
I really do.
Yeah.
I think this kid, the sky's the limit for him, but he came up against a defense that he hadn't seen before, and you can see it rattled him.
Nick Short says, Herbert, welcome to Big Boy Football.
That's right.
And that's right. Look, and that's the thing. Not only this defense looked like it did in 2019. They looked fresh. They looked good. We have depth, right? And that's being down guys like Marcus Peters, like we've talked about. I think just overall, to your point, Fred, I think it's one of those things you can give the game ball anywhere here. And when you look at the other side of the ball, right, offensively. The offensive output in this game, considering we did see some holes in, was it last week when they took on the Browns? We saw some holes in this Chargers defense.
You're a running team, and you can run the ball in them. They're the bottom 5 of the rush defense.
And it showed, and it worked, right? We talked about the offense with the run game, but the other thing that kind of comes in with that run game is somebody that doesn't get a lot of credit in the national media, but he does here locally. Project Pat, Pancake Pat.
You don't. I wish
That's
you could
my boy.
I wish
Come on, Blue.
we gotta start a petition. Something. We gotta come up with stat line that you can come up for a guy like Pat, because there's no stats.
Right.
I mean, if you get a pancake or something, but how many? You don't even really count. You don't think
His
there's no
impact is
pancake.
Defenders blocked, holes open.
We got Browns fans singing in the chat room too. As a Browns fan, I must sing, "I'm sorry, Miss Jackson." Woo! That's great.
I love it, man.
I wish we I wish there was a stat we could come up with for fullbacks like him, just.
Well, and that's
to grasp the concept of just how important he is.
And that's the point, right? We've actually had a really good history of fullbacks over the past several years. I mean, one of them has done well out in San Francisco, and Kyle Juszczyk, right? Project Pat starting as a defensive player, moving to offense, flexing in both, and moving more so into that fullback role. And it's defenders blocked, right? Protecting Lamar, getting out there and catching it when he needs to, right? He's not a guy that has drops. When he gets the chance to get the ball, he usually gets it. There was a
first down.
One last year that he had a drop on. Outside of that, he's usually pretty solid. Holes open. How many times is Lamar or one of these running backs running behind him, and he's getting that extra? They're getting that extra yardage
the Murray
because he's out in
touchdown.
front. Exactly.
He once he got past the line, he used the burst, but he got past the line because of the Pat.
Right. Exactly. And that's I think shout out goes to him because he is. And Fred, I'm going to use your term because we were talking about this before the show, and I'll let you go off because I know you have some things to say about this. He is a monster for this offense, and especially an offense that has some struggles at offensive line at times. He makes up for those at times.
Talking about Pat Ricard?
Yeah.
Absolutely. The guy, we talk about it all the time. Utility knife, right? You can use him, line him up as a tight end. You can line him up as a fullback. He is the epitome of the do-it-all kind of player, man. It's hard to measure his value. When you're talking a contract extension and whatnot. Kyle Juszczyk, which he was great when he was here, and he was a good pass-catching fullback, something that you really don't see very often, and he was a great lead blocker, but that's kind of where his limitations stopped. He didn't have the versatility to line up as a tight end. You could fill, like we talked about before, Pat Ricard on the defensive side if you're shorthanded because you've got some injury issues. It's really, really hard to measure what his contract value is going to be when that comes up, but he's a guy that's got to be in Baltimore for a long time.
And here's the part, and Travis kind of beat us to it. Here was the scary part, the news that came out really early this morning as Pat was actually in a hit-and-run accident.
In Owings Mills.
Mills on Painters Mill Road. Luckily, it was only a side swipe.
Yeah.
But you see that? And he just posted, I was just in a hit and run and didn't put anything.
It was so matter of fact.
Attack.
It was so matter of fact. It's I was just sideswiped. So if you saw a guy speeding off into these apartments right here, Painters Mill and whatever road, we need to find that guy because he hit me. It's are you okay? Yeah. Are you good?
Pat, let's make sure you're okay before you go chasing the dude,
This
buddy.
guy's been through some stuff too, man. Didn't he have somebody from his neighbor steal his food or something too?
Outback.
Guy's got some interesting stuff, man. He's funny.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. So Sam Jackson says double teams don't show up on the stat sheet.
Right.
And that's a great point. One of the things I think, too, when it comes to this offense, we got to see the excitement that was. I'm glad that they didn't overuse him or try to overuse him in Rashad Bateman.
Which is fun. Which is
Appreciate
funny.
the love, Ed in Columbus, man.
I wish I should have wrote it down when I heard it on the radio earlier. But he still ran like 60% of the snaps. It just he was blocking or it wasn't involved. Like you said, sometimes it doesn't. You cause that distraction. Oh well, this new rookie's here, so you know what I mean.
Yeah, and he comes up big on some first down situations, getting some first downs. The intermediate game, I think, he helps out with that, especially while Sammy's away. But it wasn't
the thing that you gotta remember with this though. It wasn't just that he got first downs. It was he converted first downs.
Right.
He caught the ball. Got in some juke moves and so made guys miss to be able to extend the play and move the chain. So it's not just a matter of catching the ball past the chain.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that he's going to provide you. And again, I think one of the things that people need to recognize. Now I know he had one drop in this game.
It was a big one.
It was a big bad one.
Yeah.
It was first game, coming back from an injury. They were minimizing, utilizing him. He's a little antsy. He turns upfield. The adrenaline's flowing. He turns up field before securing the ball.
That fifth first down.
Exactly. That's people need to recognize is think about the most adrenaline-filled situation that you've ever been in, right? And think about how a split-second decision, right? A millisecond is the difference. That's what it is here.
Yep.
A millisecond, he turns his shoulders. A millisecond or two later, he secures the football. He's up the field. It's another first down.
Rookie mistake.
It's a rookie mistake. It's an adrenaline mistake, and that's my point. Is this guy's in his first game? He's eager to prove himself, not recognizing this Ravens staff knows who you are. We scouted you. There's a reason we drafted you.
Yep.
Right. There's a reason you were protected for the first several weeks because we wanted you to be healthy when you came back and not rush the situation. And I'm glad they didn't. It was like kind of middle of the game when he first got out there. I think it was mid to late second quarter when they first got him out there. It was a big moment. It was good. But at the same time, I'm glad they didn't push the envelope with him too much.
So Samuel L. Jackson's got a great comment here. He says, "Oh my God, first game, Bateman didn't even practice with LJ in training camp. Wait till playoffs, lights out." That's what I'm taking away from this game was you could see it wasn't too big for him. The moment wasn't too big. His hands look good, minus the one drop. He obviously can create separation against NFL caliber corners. And the other key to this is Lamar trusted him. Lamar looked for him. Lamar went to him. So far, so good. Game one. I'm looking forward to seeing what this guy, his impact will look like later on in the year.
And William Sobel says Bateman is going to be a dog. And that's what we're getting at. There's a lot. The upside here is huge, especially because they took their time with letting him get back, with letting him be comfortable and come back from that injury.
And on top of go ahead, James.
No, I just want to get a comment from couple of you guys or even in the chat. Like, do you guys think the Ravens are the best team in the AFC right now after watching the Bills, what happened down to Tennessee? Or you think that we're comparable with both of them? There ain't no real hot best team in the AFC.
So to me, here's how I'll put it. We're the team that has momentum. We're the team that has the momentum right now, moving and charging down through this rest of the season. And I don't know. There might be a hiccup along the way or two, but I don't know that this team can be stopped if they're playing at this level, right? Consistently. The fear, obviously, injuries. We see a major situation in somebody that we thought was going to come back isn't coming back, right? How are you going to fill that depth in that long term? There's question marks, but I think we have the momentum. Other teams have too many hiccups in the road already, and I don't know that it's there. But under that same token, the Ravens, what was it? 2 years ago, had the hiccups in the road and then went 14-2.
Nick says you are your record, best in the AFC.
My take on it would be it's still, I'd almost say it's 1A, 1B with Buffalo. In that
even after the loss last night,
because that was literally a slip on a QB sneak.
It was a slip on coaching judgment.
I thought they should have gone for it.
Well, it was also it was also a slip on the defensive front that couldn't stop Henry.
Yeah. So my point being is it's just like we could have beat the Raiders. They could have easily won that game. That was their game. They could have easily won it. Now, if it would have been a case of that game last night was a 2-score loss to the Titans, I'm nope, sorry, I'm staking my flag. We're the best team in the AFC. So for that, I say yes, because I think and here's why I think it's us. The Browns now are having a whole bunch of injuries.
Yep.
Quarterback, I mean, I don't know how he came back into that game. His shoulder was like all the way back, and the 2 running backs aren't there. It's a matter of time before Beckham implodes. There's just so many injuries, and they're playing on Thursday night, so who knows what team they're fielding, and you know what I mean? So you got that situation.
I just want to say also that I said that the Bengals were going to be one of the premier teams in this league.
Yeah.
4-2.
We'll find out.
Their offense, and for a guy to say he can't catch a ball because he can't see the white line, he told all those mothers to
he's really
go shut up.
Yeah,
He was doing it on purpose. This man not dropping anything. He's making hell of a blocking. Like, it's going to be a great game this Sunday. But I think, like I said, it's going to be Ravens, Bengals up there. Like, I'm not worried about the Steelers. I have a Steelers fan down the shop that's talk all this stuff. I'm like, you barely won a game into overtime with a backup quarterback. I don't want to hear anything. The Steelers, they're going to have a lot of problems once they meet conference play. So
all right. So
go
here's
ahead.
my take on the whole thing. Right, Ravens are 5-1, and Nick's right. You are what your record says you are. What is most impressive for this team? So if I'm talking about the most impressive team in the AFC. Yep, they're the most impressive team, considering everything that they've had to overcome to get to where they are. All the battle testing. Hell yeah. All the check boxes that Lamar has checked off, that Greg Roman has checked off, some of the fears and all the critics out there that want to criticize Lamar for this, that, and the other thing. Well, he's checked all those boxes. The things that we've all been critical on Greg Roman, he's shown that he can get out of his own way and actually call a good game, right? I think that this team right now is building to be the best team in AFC, and they're just going to get healthier. While other teams are falling apart, this team is going to get pieces back later on.
You're kind of along my same lines of momentum, right? The momentum is in their favor at this point. We had the hiccup early. You know, you really just continue to move forward. You hopefully, if there is a hiccup along the way, this team can bounce back. We're seeing that, right? They can bounce back after a tough loss to the Raiders. They can turn around and bounce back after some tough, close games and really blow a team out. It's a team that nobody expected this to be a blowout, right? So it really goes to show you what they can do. And this is with some. We talked about Bateman dropping a pass. Hollywood had a touchdown. And we're going to talk about it in the rundown. Bart Scott was sitting there going, "Oh!" during that whole situation. But if you get that, this game is even more impressive, right? But we talked about it earlier. What was one of the other things? Duvernay,
the returns, you can't
Star of the
long
game.
returns.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to have being a great returner doesn't mean you have like 3 100-yard returns on the season for touchdowns. It's not always about touchdowns. It's about giving yourself a better field position 9 times out of 10. And if that happens, you don't need the touchdowns because you're going to keep giving Lamar run offense, 50 to 60 yards to go for a touchdown. It's going to be helpful.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When you're looking at his returns, he had 2 kick returns for 70 yards, 47 on one, right, and the remaining on the other. His punt returns, he was averaging 14 yards on a punt return. Not bad numbers.
No, that's damn good for a punt return.
For a punt
All right,
return,
guys,
right?
they ate the crow already on the guy.
We're not rubbing the salt in the wind on you.
I
Got to give credit where credit's due,
Credit where
man. He
credit's
played
due.
a freaking
Hey,
great
just
game.
remember this. You always put on salt on top. It tastes a little bit better, okay?
Yeah.
That's all. All right? So, but that's one of those things that you have to do. And no, Craig, I am not putting the Nelson Aguilar tag on Hollywood at all.
No.
At all.
And look,
if anything, it was the Riddler.
I'm the
Riddler
one that's
comments
most
from this
critical,
guy.
and we didn't. I'll take the drop touchdown aside from this game. I didn't do it last week, but amongst us, I said, like, look, the guys earn my respect.
Yeah.
The guy is literally showing up, and I know the drops, it sucks. But if you're gonna have those drops, but then you're gonna turn around and have great games too, that's all I can ask for. I can't stand having the drops, and then the next handful of games you're having a 4 for 30 game.
Right.
And it's
Right.
not because they were just running the ball. It's because you literally, they just couldn't trust to get it to.
Well, and look, I get
So he's earned me.
I get the guy had a drop, but here's the other thing I will give credit to him on. Did you see the whole thing before the game? And Fred, you were there. He held up a jersey.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And I haven't done this in a while. Hats off to you, buddy. Hats off to you, Hollywood, because
the Ravens.
And the Ravens, yes, because the Ravens hosted the high school team on this. He comes out and is holding the jersey of the 17-year-old Mervo high schooler who died last week. Elijah Gorman is his name. He did it during the pregame introductions. As he was introduced, the kid's number 7. He held it up, spun it back to show the crowd. Unfortunately, this
was
young
a really
man,
cool moment.
Yeah, this young man passed away from a cardiac arrest, multi-system organ failure, traumatic brain injury, and accidental trauma after being injured in a game against Dunbar. We've seen scary moments on the field. We all were just the game last night. There was Taylor Lewan. He didn't move at first, so we were all kind of like, "Oh, I hope everything's okay."
Give it a thumbs up.
Imagine seeing this happen.
Yeah,
to a 17-year-old kid, and he passed away on Monday in the hospital. His death is obviously being at this point considered an accident. I don't think there's anything to say otherwise. But shout out to the Ravens for really kind of taking care of, from what I understand, taking care of the family, taking care of the team themselves in the situation.
So during the game, they actually had a sign in the corner of the end zone that had his number and his name on it. That was pretty cool. And then I think after the game, they had the family down on the field. They had his image and everything on the Jumbotron, and obviously they paid homage to him. It's just sad situation, but this just goes to show, again, just how much of a first-class organization the Ravens are and what kind of character Hollywood Brown has for doing what he did.
And it brings a whole new light to the what we call scary injuries, right?
Yeah.
We had some scary, what we would define as scary injuries. We talked about Pat Queen going down. Another one that had us all concerned at first, given the history at center. When Bradley Bozeman didn't get up at first, you kind of went, oh, shit. And then he got up, and it would come to find out it was some back issues. But I tell you what.
I'd say, and when you're at that point of the game, I mean, things weren't in question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe he's back in, even maybe he's not, but it's.
But Colon Castillo comes in and plays well, right? He was a good replacement. Great moment after the game. I don't know if you guys saw the picture they posted. His wife handed him down his son Nico.
Oh, okay.
I think his son is like 3 or 4 months old now. But hands him down the field, and it's a picture of him just holding him up in the air.
I think I did
smiling at him. The baby's smiling back. Really cool situation for him as he gets in there under circumstances. Latavius Murray also kind of gets banged up in this as well. We'll see what comes out of that throughout the week here.
I'll tell you what, man. There's a couple of injuries, specifically the Bradley Bozeman, man, had my heart in my stomach for a second. You see a guy like that who's been playing just lights out football, earning himself a big payday in the future, playing the position he was drafted at, and a position that's been an issue for us for the last couple of years, to say the least, right? So you see him go down. But he's down there for a couple minutes. He hops up. He runs off the field. They throw some icy hot on his back or whatever the hell they do, some tape, and he's back out there later in the game. But
he's giving the wife the thumbs up.
You're right, exactly. They're just good people. The
they are.
They just seem like really good people. But to your credit, Colon Castillo came out there right when the injury went down. Lamar's on the sideline. They're taking snaps, getting as much practice as they can in. He goes out there, and they didn't miss a beat. Maybe 1 or 2 high snaps in the very, very beginning, but outside of that, played really well.
No, played well.
I was going to say, I'll bring up what Steven Severs just brought up. So if Castillo Colon is playing this good, you got him at center and Bozeman back to his spot in left guard, or you want to stick with Bozeman at center?
I
know, because it's.
I think we've seen. I'd like to see this offensive line settle in a little bit.
Yeah, I don't.
And
you already have enough changes as it is. That I'd be the same.
Colon
thing
Castillo,
for me.
by no means did he do a bad job.
Yeah, I was called for him to be the center last year.
Right, but I think Bozeman has been up to the task this year.
Yeah, exactly.
More than up to the task.
Exactly. So we haven't seen bad snaps out of him. Really, it's looked good. Bozeman is the center to me in this situation. One of the things that I did want to bring up, because we're gonna talk MVP talk here in a second, but before we do, I got a little bit of a gripe. I want to get you guys' opinion here.
All right.
Can we get some goddamn consistency in calls when it comes to Lamar and late hits or hits on other QBs, the late hit that he took out of bounds. I've seen some people arguing, well, the guy was launching. You know how many times I've seen a guy launching, even our guys, launching at a QB, and the QB gets rid of the ball, and there's still a roughing the passer penalty. Well, there's a late hit penalty that should have happened. He was already out of bounds when he's hit. That is the definition of a goddamn
You know
late
what
hit.
this
That's
is?
what you want your quarterback to do.
This is Cam Newton 2.0 is what this is, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, this is
The kind of treatment he's getting.
it's so frustrating, right? Any other QB, this is called, but him, it's not. The officiating this season in general has been suspect.
Last night's game, it was like you guys called a penalty, and it took them like a minute and a half for like every single penalty. Then what are you throwing the flag for if you don't know what to say? You should be able to go, hey, look, it's a hold. Okay, it's a hold.
How about I hate
just add the
I
officiating.
hate to bring this up, right? Because it's Steelers related. What about the end of regulation in the Steelers Seahawks game?
Yeah.
The officiating in that situation. NFL, you need to do something. There needs to be consistency. These refs need to be held accountable. You can't call the same thing on one guy and not call it on the other.
Well,
I'm sorry. It's got to stop.
The thing is, also Lamar's too tall because Murray gets calls all the time. He gets calls all the
got a
time.
Blocks out
call.
the ref. Is that what you're telling us?
He got a call this week where like the guy literally touched his chest. It was like nothing,
Yeah.
barely
Yeah.
made contact, and they threw a flag.
Yeah, because he's a midget.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Steve just chimed in there and said Lamar got his first roughing the passer against the Colts game, first one since last decade.
Probably the first one for the next,
but then the next
18
game,
games.
there's a clear hit. It's not called. Everybody was looking for the flag. I know that you guys were booing
and that adds,
out there.
And that adds to my problem because anybody who wants to criticize Lamar talks about all the running and putting himself out there for injuries. He's out of bounds.
Right.
And he's still getting fucking hit.
Yep.
So he's doing what he should be doing.
It's absurd.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But look, everything aside, let's take a minute. Let's talk about the MVP conversation because we heard Hollywood chant it last week. We heard the fans chanting it last week and this week.
Oh, it's been consistent. Every week walking out of that stadium, MVP chants. It's been pretty impressive.
So here's some of the top contenders, right? Lamar, Ravens are 5-1. Kyler Murray, they're 6-0. Dak Prescott, great comeback, 5-1 team. Tom Brady, doing Tom Brady things, 5-1.
At 45,000 years old.
Justin Herbert, they've been doing well up until this week. I think they're 4-2 now, right?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, 5-1.
And he owned Chicago. Just
Owned
in case
Chicago.
you didn't know.
Discount double.
Josh Allen, 4-2 up until last night. Derrick Henry on pace for over 5,700 yards. That's the pace. He's going to break his own record at 5,200. Like, there's a lot of names here. So, no purple Kool-Aid here. I want you to be straightforward. If you think it's Lamar, that's fine, but I want everybody to have good reasons. Right now, gun to your head.
I don't want to go first.
Gun to your head. All right, Fred, I'll throw it to you. I know you ain't going to be afraid. Gun to your head.
Well,
who's the MVP right now?
Here's the thing, though. Like, in years past, there have been that, like, clear-cut front runner. Like, maybe even one or two guys that are that clear-cut front runner. We're 6 games into the year right now, and you just ran off of a list of about 7 or 8 guys that
And it's accurate.
that have a legitimate case. Tom Brady leads the entire league, not just in passing yards, but in total yards. That's more yards than Lamar Jackson has in total as well.
He was
right?
averaging 5 touchdowns for the first 4.5 or 4, almost 5 weeks.
He's got 17 touchdowns to 3 picks. Lamar's got 9 touchdowns to 5 picks, right? So, and Lamar doing what he's doing with the short-handed offensive line, with not having your number 1 draft pick wide receiver out there in the beginning of the year. I mean, it's been super impressive. And Kyler Murray, again, what he's been able to do out there to lead a team, the only team, to a 6-0 record. It's hard to pinpoint right now a clear-cut front runner. But honestly, if I have to, gun to my head, right now, 6 games of the year, I'm going to give it to Tom Brady right now, just because of the fact of they were 5-1, and he leads the world in total yards, 17 touchdowns as well.
James.
I'm going, like, normally it's the quarterback. I think this year fucking Henry deserves it. This man fucking runs people over. And if you watch the Bills game and they have, like, a great defense, by the second half of the game, no one wanted to touch this motherfucker. Everybody was looking around, and I was watching, looking around like, can you help me out? I don't want to go blow for blow with this guy. And the thing is, this guy runs motherfuckers over, and they were showing his workout, what he does in the offseason. This guy's a fucking giant playing with boys, and no one can fucking stop him, dude.
Okay. These are all, obviously, I know some of you chiming in. These are obviously way too early predictions. I think Nick said it's way too early.
It is.
We get that.
We got to have this conversation, though, Nick.
But everybody's having
how about AB? Is AB your MVP or what?
All right. Let's go, Drew. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, it's too early, but I mean, it's looking at the class that we're talking about. That's why we're talking about it. And I'll have to just jump on what he said. I was hoping someone wouldn't do it, so maybe I should have said it first. Derrick Henry, just because for it to not be a quarterback for a change.
Yeah.
The guy, like you just said, the pace you're on, the shit you're doing, the dude, once he's past somebody, they're either afraid or he's already past him. He's looking like goddamn Forrest Gump in the Alabama scenes from the movie, where he's gone. He just looks like a goddamn robot. He's just gone, and no one's going to catch up with him anyway. And he's like the size of Andre the Giant.
I don't know about that, Greg Zero. We went against him. And
So my point, back to it. He's done everything. It's like all but one game. It's been over 100 yards. And you talk about the pace he's at and what he's doing. And it's all the touchdowns. But now they're throwing him the ball a little bit more.
He's catching out of the backfield,
And dude, I mean, like he still has
Screen
to face.
passes.
And there's so many times over the last couple of years where he's put up 200-yard games against Houston and Jacksonville. Where he's faced Jacksonville once, he got like 130 yards. So he's still got to face Houston twice and the Jacksonville again.
All right.
So look, that's like 650 yards with those three games right there.
Normally with Henry, he starts off slow and gets
and it's the
high
end of
like
the year,
after
yeah.
the 8th game. But this guy's just rolling over motherfuckers.
If he breaks a record, for me, he's the MVP.
So I set you guys up to then go the opposite way. Here's the deal. And I think I saw it in the chat. Most valuable player to your team. Okay? It's Lamar.
Oh, I thought you were going with Justin
It's
Tucker. to be
Lamar.
honest with
But
you.
here's the thing.
But hear me out. Hear me out.
I agree with you. I agree with you in that
Let me
sense.
give my reasons.
But does the award get awarded that way?
I think time's gonna tell. But here's the deal. Here's why. Right? It's gonna depend on what happens in the future. I'm gonna hand out two. With this statement, I'm going to hand out two awards. The first one, MVP, Lamar Jackson. And at the same time, Coach of the Year, John Harbaugh. Because this team has the most injuries in the NFL, period. Most injuries at the same time. 17 guys on IR at the same time. Half of which are starters. All right? We're talking guys that have... Bateman, right? We were all expecting him day one to come in and have an impact, right? These are impact-type players. Sammy Watkins goes down. Ronnie Stanley goes down. You have Villanueva, who looked bad, then got hurt, then was there. You have Bozeman, who's dealing with this back issue, still came back into the game.
Just give me
right?
one Gus or one Dobbins, and I'd feel, you know what I mean? That right there, I'd feel so much better with just one of them.
But then you factor that in. You factor the run game in. That we have a carousel of running backs that we still don't know who our RB1, RB2, RB3 is. We have no idea. If you pin it down this week, it's going to change next week, right? Your defense has struggled at times to put up points, but you have kept your team in games to win them, and you're 5-1. I'm sorry. Most valuable players to your team, Lamar's not our quarterback. We're not 5-1.
See, and this is why, for me, it's always like you got the MVP award, and you also have that offensive player award. They could be separate, and they should be separate.
Right.
Yeah. And what's the chat out there saying? What are they saying about this?
I think a lot of people are agreeing with you, Scott. A lot of people seem to think that Lamar is the MVP. And I think by definition, as Chuck Summers said earlier, the MVP is the most valuable player to their team. And that would be Lamar Jackson 6 weeks into the season. I just go back to, is that how the award is actually awarded, though? It should be, but is it? And just based off of what we've seen over the years, that's why I went Tom Brady, because, again, he's just playing out of this world, but he's doing it with better options. Right?
I was going to say, look at that roster.
I understand that.
Look at that roster and tell me that somebody else. Aaron Rodgers goes to Tampa Bay.
You can't hold that against him, though. He's still putting up, listen to this, 2,100 yards in 6 games, 17 touchdowns to 3. Lamar's got 9 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, right? So, listen, again, you're not going to, lose me on this argument because I 100% agree with you. It's just, again,
You're
is the
going
award
with you're
going
going
that
with
way?
what's the realism been in the past versus what do we all feel? And there's been years in past that I think guys have gotten MVP that shouldn't have.
Right.
We've all said that. Look, I'm just saying I'm making the case that I think that's the case. What did you got? Nobody responded to my Harbs statement. Harbs Coach of the Year right now?
Yeah, 100%. Who else would win that award?
Any disagreement?
For me, no.
All right, we gotta go. Let's go over to the couch. He's smirking over there.
Come on, James. You gotta own it. Gotta own it.
I ain't owning nothing because
He ain't eating that crow.
you got these new guys in there helping Greg Romes. His I'm not play calling. His clock management's a lot better.
That's always
this year.
been an issue, and it's
a lot
gotten
better
better
this year. So
It's
I don't
gotten
know
better.
if someone's helping him out or whatever.
Except for
but
that end of that halftime, I'm still a little bit.
it was awful
still
years
bothering me a
past,
little
but this
bit.
year there's
It's a much better.
no, but there's more that we had to question like every week, like why are you doing this? Why are you like? But this year is totally different. The year is young, but going back to MVP, like for Derrick Henry to do what he's doing on a shitty team, like I'm talking about defensive wise. This guy's fucking running people over.
Yeah, but
they're scared. These are grown men.
But from a wide receiver,
Grown men,
from a
dude.
wide receiver
and everybody
standpoint,
gives the MVP to the quarterback, but this guy's running over bad teams, good teams. Well, destroying bad teams and running over good teams. That's scary, dude.
oh no, I'm not disagreeing with you. Again, there's a case for all of these guys. There's a case to be made.
No, I know
my whole
that.
thing with Henry, my whole thing with Brady is look at the team without them.
If Henry's not there, they're not winning games.
I don't want to disagree with you. I
They
agree
still
with you.
also have Julio
I-
Jones and Brown.
Julio-
Well,
Old
hold
Jones
on. I'll
with the hamstring
agree
every
with
day?
you, but I'll also refute what you're saying. I'll agree with you, but their backup, Justin McNichols, is pretty damn good, too. So it'd be weird. It'd be something to see if
One
he was
guy-
out. Your case, Julio is
Joe-
not
well,
Julio
he just-
anymore.
well, he
No.
just came back after the injury. So
I'm just
or
saying,
after
Julio is
3
not
weeks out.
Julio anymore, and A.J. Brown stays healthy, like, consistently. So
I'm just saying.
not
I'm
having
just
those
saying-
wide receivers
Hold on,
is-
I got one for you to get the chat going. I'm just saying, if we traded Tucker for Henry, the Ravens aren't fucking stoppable. Where you don't need a fucking kicker because this guy's
all right.
running mother people
All
over.
right, let me chime in here for a second because I'm going to throw a wild card at you. I think Steven Severs or somebody in here mentioned the Arizona coach.
No, it was Steven, yeah.
Yeah, that was Kingsbury. Kingsbury wasn't even there this week.
They don't
and
even
still
need
won.
Kingsbury.
Apparently, they don't even need Kingsbury. But I'm going to throw a wild card out there for you for Coach of the Year. It's a guy that comes to town this week, Zach Taylor. 6 games in to have the Bengals second in the AFC, playing for the first seed in the AFC North at 4-2. A Bengals roster that we did not expect. We thought maybe they could get to 500 this year. 4-2, 6 weeks into the season.
Is that coaching or is that GM and drafting and
Oh,
picking up
you
the
can
guys you
pass
need
the
to do?
buck around, whatever you want. Zach Taylor has been a big difference maker for them.
He has been. He has helped this team kind of see the
One thing's
see
for
the light, so
sure,
to speak.
Burrow is a real thing.
He is.
He's the
He's
real
a
deal.
real thing.
He's the real deal. So I mean, it helps when you have a decent run game as well. That's able to help that team. So we're gonna find out this week how they do. But we'll see what happens. So talking about the Bengals, let's
So
jump
that's a
into
no.
that.
Screw your Zach Taylor talk. Get out of
Yeah,
here.
get out of here. So obviously, Bengals 4-2. Let's kind of look for a second. I took a look at the last time these two teams met. Obviously, it was earlier this year, January of this year. It was Week 17. The Ravens wound up winning 38-3. Joe Burrow not present in this game. AJ Green was a non-factor. He had 0 catches on 6 targets. The Ravens 525 total yards against the Bengals. They held the Bengals to 193. 147 of that was the rush game, right, with Joe Mixon. We also had Gus Dobbins. Gus Dobbins.
and
Gus
Dobbins.
and Dobbins. We had Gus. We had Dobbins. We had Wolf. We had Peters. We had Fort. Oh, by the way, during that game, we were down Sam Cook in that game.
Yeah.
But we're missing a lot of pieces compared to what we have.
Yeah.
So taking a look, keys to the game. Here's the one thing I'm going to say. I want to make sure that we tread lightly and don't use this as a trap game. I think they absolutely can win this game, but they can't play down to their opponent. They cannot let the foot off the throat. If you're stopping them, keep stopping them. Don't change it. right? We were talking in the game that stop trying to throw the ball if they can't stop the run.
Yeah.
If they can't stop the run, do it. They're 18th in stopping the run. You got to be able to go against them. Force them to stop the run. They're 16th in passing. When that opens up, you utilize it. But they're a team that's starting to kind of find themselves and click. And Joe Burrow out the second half of last season, right? He's kind of coming into his own. We all said that. So that's my keys to the game. What do you think about this team coming in here?
It is a scary team. The offense is doing really good. I think the defense is still
scary enough.
It's still scary. It's still average. I think the defense is still average. So I don't see you having a hiccup like you've kind of had with like the Indianapolis game or that situation. But if you play around with them in that first quarter, that first half, then you're going to be in trouble.
You can't let them hang in there.
You can't.
Okay.
And you got to get pressure to the kid. Because, I mean, that O-line is better than last year, but it's still not some of the better offensive lines that you faced. So, yeah, you got to get a pass rush going. You can't have one of these lackluster pass rush games where it's just like going through the motions and think that the secondary is just going to bail out. Because it may not. It could be a situation where you just get worn down and it's a shootout in the second half.
Yep. Craig, that's damn right you're agreeing with me, all right? I saw that comment. I think I just saw somebody, Nick Short, shorten the game, run the ball. That's exactly what you need to do. Fred, what's your take on the Bengals coming into town here?
So there have been way too many times that I've gone into that stadium expecting to win pretty handily against the Bengals and left that stadium very disappointed. It's
not necessarily lost, it's just disappointed with how it went.
Yeah, or lost. I mean,
okay.
it's been a lot of losses in the hands of A.J. Green and Andy Dalton and Carson Palmer and Tyler Boyd.
Hey, if it wasn't for Palmer and Boyd, we wouldn't have Lamar.
Yeah, right. So I'm not going to go into this game overly confident, but what I'm going to expect and what we're going to need to see to have this team come out with a win, we're going to need to see the defense put back-to-back games together, right? Don't play too fast. Make sure you're fundamentally sound and you're tackling, doing all the basics that they did in this game. Get back to the basics, get back to the fundamentals. And I think the Ravens can control this game. You're going to have to get to Burrow. You're going to have to show some pressure to keep him a little off balance, kind of like you did with Herbert. And then Greg Roman on the offensive side, adjusting to how the defense is playing you. Continue doing that. If the defense is game planning on taking that deep ball away, then you're nickeling and diming them. You're running the ball. You're controlling the clock. You're doing all those things. But if they're going to stack the box, like we've seen in some of these other teams in previous weeks, then let Lamar take the top off the defense. Adjust. And Greg Roman's been doing a really, really good job of that so far this year. That's my key to this game.
All right, James, what's your key to this game?
The key to this game is that it's a home game. That's one, because if this was a road game, I would be going a different direction on how this game would go. But also, the Bengals are not a team to play with. Like, I'm more worried about the Bengals nowadays than the Browns and the Steelers. Like, they are doing things. They have a quarterback. They have multiple elite wide receivers that catch the ball. They have Mixon in the background that can, in the backfield to run. Like, they're a serious team, and their defense is coming up too. And like Fred said, I have seen multiple times how these Bengals come in here. We're like, oh, we got it. We have a good running game and good defense. A.J. Green just taking balls away from fucking people. Boyd. And then I forget his first name, but Henry, who
Chris Henry back in the day used to kill us.
Kill us too. Like, I just hope it's not a trap game where, like, hey, we played a hell of a defense against the Chargers. Like, this is going to be a cakewalk. This game right here is what sets the tone of winning the division and being a dominant team in the AFC to just go on and do our business. If we handle our business the way we should, by running the ball, passing if we have to, our defense, there's no limits to this team. And I'm one that can say, hey, some teams are pretty scary, but after we get by our conference team, this is setting us up for the playoffs and further on to the Super Bowl.
Nick Short, real fan Dan will be the difference maker in this. Yeah, that's at the state. Look, the stadium, to your point, James, right? The stadium can get loud. Joe Burrow, right, last year didn't have the fans to have to contend with. This year he does. He's going to come into Baltimore and he's going to recognize what the hell is going to happen, right? We saw what happened with Justin Herbert. Do we see the same thing with Joe Burrow? Does he get rattled in this environment? It's quite possible to see him get rattled. We'll see. Maybe he takes the news of good old Ed, which we'll get into that. Good old Ed ain't going to be around at LSU anymore. Maybe he took that news a little too hard and helps us out here. Good
old Ed.
I think I saw something that in there. Another thing, obviously, that we mentioned previously for us, Josh Bynes playing at middle linebacker here. I think Elliott being in the fold again. So that's one of those things. Watch Coach Harb's speech in the locker after the Chargers win. Already talk about the Bengals and getting ready for that game. Yeah, and that's one of the things they need to go in. They need to set the tone early. And to your point, you need to get him out of it and keep him out of it.
I like it, T. Will. He's got a 40-10 Ravens.
All right, well,
that'll be a real good Sunday,
give me
my
scores
friend.
like Sunday because I need that non-pressure shit.
I'll take it. So let's do this. Let's get into our prime time predictions. And like we've been doing here recently, we're going to start with the Thursday night game. We're not going to start with the Ravens game like we used to. We're going to start with the Thursday night. We're going to go in order here. So Thursday night, 8:20, we got the 3-3 Broncos taking on the 3-3 Browns on a short week for the Browns. Drew, let's start with you. Who's winning this game?
This is a hard game because the Browns are so hurt, but like the Broncos are just in free fall because during our game, we showed that you were facing three shitty teams, and a real team came in and manhandled your ass. It was a real hard because you know how I am with Thursdays. I'm almost always giving it the road team, but then to the home team. But when that home team you run through the list of injuries that the Browns have, and they're so good at running the ball. Well, the two guys that are so good at running the ball are hurt. And if the quarterback goes down early again like he did, I can't see him keep getting shots or whatever he did to come back in that game and doing good. And even at that point, it didn't matter.
They still listen to him as
Nick,
questionable.
just so you know, nobody wants to see that. No, nobody wants to see all that.
What?
So, he wants us all to go shirtless.
No,
nobody wants to see that.
Look at him. He's like,
I started getting back up on that Peloton again. So sorry. Do we digress?
Yes.
I still go with the Browns just because they are the Thursday night home team. But I think it's going to be one of those. We've had a lot of good primetime games, I think.
Okay.
And I don't think this is going to be a good primetime game at 20-10. I don't think.
All right. Well, I'll go next. For me, I'm going the opposite way here. I think the Browns are too banged up. We've seen them have struggles. They're banged up right now. You have Baker, who is questionable in this game.
Yeah.
If he does get in there, watch for them to be, somewhat targeting him a little bit, trying to get to him.
Von Miller literally already came up and said, "Oh, I want to kick his ass."
Yeah, he wants to put him down. They want to show him what can happen.
Because if you get him out, then do you win with Case Keenum?
Yeah, and I think the other thing is the fact that the Browns defense hasn't quite been what we anticipated with some of those names, right? So you're seeing some of that, and I think that gives the Broncos some hope. I've got this being a one-score game, close. Both teams are going to put up some points, but it's not going to be a blowout one way or the other. I've got this being a 24-21 win in favor of the Broncos. Fred, let's throw it over to you. What do you got in this game?
This is going to be a shit show. It is not going to be a pretty football game. It's going to be a typical nasty Thursday night football game. It might be entertaining in the fact that it's going to be close and you're going to be holding on to who pulls it off. It's going to be kind of like that Bengals and Packers game where they missed 5 fucking field goals and it came down to the wire.
At least they had some offense in that game.
Yeah,
though.
right. This is going to be a sloppy game. It does Baker play, and he's talking like he owns the town now, saying that I make the calls and whether I play or not and blah, blah, blah. We'll see if Baker gets out there and plays. I got this coming down to who makes the last mistake, and the Browns will brown. So I think the Browns make the final mistake. Somehow the Broncos pull it off 24-23 in a shitty game.
All right. I gotta bring this comment up because I think it's perfect. T-Will says Alex Smith is better than Baker. Bad leg at all. Baker goes down. Alex Smith's not going to be on Monday Night Football anymore. All right, James, who do you got for this game?
Well, Fred, Baker does own the town. He has his progressive commercials. And
I'll give him credit. Those progressive commercials are pretty
Whether you
good.
want to give him because of him or not, those commercials make me laugh.
They
every
are
time I see one.
hysterical.
Are these my shoulder pads? Oh, they can't be.
He puts
Pretty funny.
But when he gives the kids nachos for trick or treats,
And then puts the nacho cheese on top.
I want to do that so bad.
Both
man.
of these teams are heading in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
With their injuries and stuff like that, that's football. But I think Baker will be fine. Even if he's not, I think Keenum can come in and win fucking games. But I think the main thing is I think the Browns have a better head coach than the Denver does. And it's a home game, so I'm going with the Browns 31-21. And it's like Fred said, this is going to be an ugly game. I think Drew's going to be in bed at halftime, so he won't even know if he was right or wrong.
I probably won't be in bed. I'll probably be playing
but
PlayStation.
this game's going to be awful.
All right, so we've got Drew and James both saying the Browns. We got myself and Fred saying the Broncos.
And
Ryan's going to break the tie, and he's going to go with the Broncos. But he has the score kind of in the middle. Fred and I went with similar scores. You guys went with a little bit more lopsided games. Ryan's going in the middle with a one-score game. He's got it being the Broncos winning 24-17. So let's move to the Ravens. And I see your comment out there, David Missler. He says a full stadium of shirtless fans with Ravens pasties over their nips will make for interesting color commentating.
No, I let
and
my nips
might
hang.
win us the game.
Oh, man.
That'd be hilarious.
That would be.
All right, so let's
Also
go.
very cold.
Yeah, very, very cold. Unless it's in the 70s, that's not happening. Ravens take on the Bengals, as we said, at M&T Bank Stadium. I'm just going to say for us, I'm going to save a little bit of time, save a little bit of face. I don't know whether we all learned from last week or we all truly believe it. We can go around the table
Tell
real
you
quick.
now, that crow tastes like shit. I ain't doing that again.
Because we all went the Ravens this week. I'll start us off this time. I've got the Ravens winning this handedly.
Holy shit.
You kind of hit the nail on the head to me. It comes down to do not let them get in this game.
Yeah.
Do not give them the chance to get back into this game. And I don't think the Ravens do. I think the Ravens are out to prove something offensively and defensively. And because of that, I've got the Ravens winning this game 34-13. I think they are able to run around and run over this Bengals defense. And I think that they're able to do what they did to Justin Herbert to Joe Burrow. And it's at home. Joe Burrow, you're in trouble, buddy, just like Justin Herbert.
Well, Nick agrees with you. He almost has the same score as you.
So 27-13.
What do you got, Drew?
Ravens 36-28. And that's I'll harp it again. Unless you come out slow, I think that you can really handle. You're the better offense. Yeah, that offense is much improved, and he added a hell of a wide receiver. I was wrong about so far, but it's the home game. I think they keep doing the things they've been doing. I don't think that they'll get into a rut and abandon something that's working, whether it's the pass or the run. They've stuck with it so far. I think the same exact thing happens, and it's 36-28.
All right. James, let's go
what
to
do you
you.
got?
I had the Ravens win this game. Like I said, it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a game that I'm going to miss because I'm going to be at work, but you guys will be there. But I think it's going to be a shootout.
You'll
pretty
just have
high
1,000 text messages by the time you get off work.
Oh, yeah, or 1,000 by halftime when my phone's going to die because it's overheating. I have this game 37-35 Ravens, and it's going to be a great game for both teams, but the Ravens are going to come up top.
All right, Fred, what do you and Ryan have in this game?
All right, so again, I've been scarred by many Bengals games in the past, right? So, and I do believe in Joe Burrow. I think the kid is electric, and I think he's a real deal quarterback for this team for a long time. They still got to build some pieces around the offensive line to keep him healthy. But now he's got targets, right? And the wide receiver core that he has out there, and the chemistry that he has, obviously with Chase, it's evident. So they're going to put up points in this game, and it's not because our defense is going to play badly. I just think that the Bengals have that ability through the pass game. The key to me in this game is going to be shutting Joe Mixon down, kind of like you shut down Austin Eckler against the Chargers. If you can do that in this game, Go ahead and give up some of the passes. Go ahead and give up some of the yards. You can do that. I have no fear of Lamar and this offense being able to keep up with the Bengals and being able to score against this Bengals defense. So I think the Ravens win this game, but it's going to be in a high-scoring game. I think the Ravens win 33-28. Division game. It's going to be close. And Ryan's got this one going. Ravens as well, 31-24.
I like what T. Will says here. He says, away, away, away the difference.
I like it.
I like it, and I think you're right. I think he does make a big impact in this game, whether that's getting back there to Joe Mixon or whether it's getting back to Joe Burrow. He does make an impact in this game because this offensive line, while they're improved, they're not that much improved that they can stop this defensive front.
Appreciate it, William. All right, guys, I'm out. Love y'all. Way better content than Garrett and Mink. That's pretty high praise, man.
That's high
Appreciate
praise
it.
considering it's Ravens social media he's referencing. Appreciate it there, buddy. So let's kind of move on here. Sunday Night Football. We've got the Colts 2-4. Really have struggled since the Ravens manhandled them even more. 49ers 2-3. A lot of injuries out there in San Francisco. Shades of last year, it's starting to feel like.
Yeah, if it gets too far out of here.
This game is going to be interesting. You could go a bunch of different ways in this game. I'll be honest with you.
It seems like every week I got one where I'm like,
This was a toss-up. So, Fred, let's get you started on this one. Where do you start? Where do you lean this game? Colts or 49ers?
Right now, so I think the 49ers obviously have the better defense in this game, but I'm going to go with the quarterback with the hotter hand, and I think Carson Wentz is actually playing pretty good football right now, so he's going to keep them in this game, right? But I've always said defense wins you games, right? And defense will do enough for the 49ers. Maybe it's is it Nick Bosa that's in the 49ers? I always get the Bosa boys mixed up.
Nick's there.
Nick's
with the 49ers. Maybe Bosa makes a game-changing play. Obviously, the Colts, are struggling with injuries right now, especially in the secondary. I think the 49ers will do enough to pull it out, and it's a snoozer of a game. I think the 49ers win this 27-24.
All right, James, what do you got here?
I have beginning of the year, everybody think, the Colts and the 49ers are going to have a great team. You're probably going to see them make a playoff run. The Colts will win their division, their defense, and their offensive line. They have Wentz. But I think both of these teams are shit shows to watch, and it has to be a Sunday night game.
Could get flexed, maybe.
If they had
No way.
better quarterbacks back in the day, like Peyton Manning and maybe Young, it'll be a great game. But I have the Colts win this game 27-23. I think the running game of Taylor right now is unbelievably strong. So that's my prediction this week.
All right, what do you got on this one, Drew?
Nick.
I went with the Niners because I'm playing catch up. No, that's a little bit of a why. I got 49ers 27-17. It's another one. I kind of went with the home team on this one. I went with the better defense on this one. I'm with you. There's going to be something where it's going to be a late Carson Wentz fuck up.
Yep.
That costs them the game. And you do have the injuries, but I think the core is still there. You got Garoppolo back in. Maybe Trey Lance isn't ready yet. I mean, he's hurt too. Look, I was just trying to play. I really was trying to play catch up, and it really was a hard one because it's like you just look at their record. It's 2-4 and 2-3. I mean, if the Niners weren't coming off a bye, it could be 2-4 team. You know what I mean? Like, It was just one of those games where
appreciate it, John.
You don't really,
John.
Does it really matter who wins in the grand scheme because it's not like a conference game? So I just I stuck with the home team on this one with the 49ers.
So for me on this game, I this was a flip of the coin. And it could come down to a Carson Wentz fuck up. It could come down to a Carson Wentz last minute. I landed on the last minute side. I think they have something to prove. They're 2-3 right now. They're struggling. There's not much of an excuse.
Yeah.
All right. They need this win. They need this win. They need it on the road. There's too many things also going against the 49ers. Yeah, Garoppolo's back, but he's coming off of the injury himself, right? He's still technically, by definition, right, questionable, right? If he goes out early in this game for whatever reason, 49ers are screwed as far as I'm concerned.
I didn't really put that into the consideration yet.
I mean, that's kind of what I looked at, but I do think they can still play in contention in this. I have this being a Colts win here, 30-24, just for the simple fact that I think somebody in there said it. I think it was David said the Colts have something to prove and it's going to be a blowout. I think he said like 43-10 or something like that.
49, and then he said they're going to quit. They're not going to go over 49.
Just crazy. But I just don't know that it's there. I do think it's a one-score game. I think it's 30-24. Both teams are going to be able to put up some points in this game. I expect Juszczyk for them to have a big game because Garoppolo is not going to want to go deep. He's going to want to go over the middle, and Juszczyk is his guy in that situation. Ryan, he's falling on the side of the Colts. He's breaking the tie here again. He's going with 27-20 Colts in this scenario. So let's round it out with some Monday Night Football against two teams who have been less than impressive again. We've got the 3-2 Saints going against the injury-riddled, quarterbackless-ish. I'll say ish for a reason. We'll get to that. In the Seahawks, who are 2-4, going to be there. We talked about the 12th man, maybe being a difference last week. Well, it didn't really happen. So let's start with James on this one. James, what are you looking at in this game? Who do you got winning this one?
I'm just having the Saints win this game. Seahawks, such a disappointment. I don't think they can ever get back to being a Super Bowl team anywhere. I think a change is going to be coming with their head coach soon, and they're going to revamp the whole team. Maybe Russell will be gone next year, but I have the Saints winning this game 24-17. Kamari's coming off a bye. It's going to be ugly.
All right. Drew, what do you got in this game?
I mean, I like the Kamara bit because I need him this week. Saints, I got the Saints 23-10. The Saints defense is really good. And Geno Smith's not.
He's looked all right.
He's looked all right. But I think if you get a lot of pressure on him, I think the Saints can do. I think that was the issue with the game on Sunday night. I think he had a lot more pressure than if you're in his face, you can get to him. And I just think the Saints defense is still one of the top defenses in the league. And I mean, Claiborne's a really good damn corner. He's a shutdown corner. And I mean, whether it's Metcalf, more than likely Metcalf. I mean, it seems like Metcalf's the only one that Geno was targeting.
Yeah.
Because it's not really, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes with those lesser quarterbacks, try to throw it to the guy that's the biggest wide receiver in the room. So, yeah, I got Saints 23-10.
Yeah. Ryan has Saints as well in this game. He's got them 24-13. Very similar score to what I have. I have a little bit more on both sides. I've got it 30-17 in favor of the Saints. And it's a few different factors here. One is the fact that the Seahawks have just been a great disappointment this year. They have failed on all levels.
You mean to tell me you aren't a fan of Jamal Adams?
Yeah, okay.
He's the best in the nation.
Anyway,
ball hit off his helmet.
Ball hit him in the head.
Best video all year long.
Great.
DK Metcalf whining like a little baby because Shannon Sharp's calling him out. It's Hall of Famer calling you out. Shut the hell up, dude. You haven't been in the league long enough to prove yourself. You've been a little inconsistent at times. Shut up and play football.
He owned it. He owned it with his second.
Finally,
he finally owned it. Yeah.
Took him a few hours to get that tweet out there.
Yeah, you're right.
But I just think that's the case. And somebody had pointed out there, Jameis hasn't been playing that bad. Aimless Winston's going to show up. Look, it's
just throw to Kamara for me.
It hasn't been the greatest, but it hasn't been the debacle that it's been in his career before, right? So it's two piles of shit. Which one are you going to pick? I'm going with the Saints.
The more golden shit.
Their defense is pretty damn good.
Yeah, the defense is great.
So this was a tough one to pick from because, again, you kind of stated all the facts in this. Russell Wilson's out there, and I'm going Seahawks all day in this game. No question. Geno Smith has looked better than I expected him to because, again, Geno Smith hasn't been relevant or hasn't been good since West Virginia
Appreciate
days.
it, Nick.
Where I'm going to give the advantage is who has the better defense and who has the better skill position players. Alvin Kamara is the best skill position player in this game. Saints defense is better than the Seahawks. So I'm going to give the Saints the edge, and I got them winning 30-27.
You got it close, man. That's very close.
I do.
All right, Mr. Producer over there, not in the big boy chair this week.
Getting a lot of love
He's a
out there
producer
tonight.
over there.
Yeah, man. We're getting a lot of love from the BSers out there in the chat room tonight, man. Appreciate each and every one of you guys chiming in. Some of the guys that have been around watching us for a long time, even getting a little bit of comments in here. So glad to see you guys back.
And by the way, it's Jan Marshall.
Jan?
Not
Okay.
John.
I'm bad with names. So if I butcher your name, just laugh at me because that's just the way it is. That's who I am.
Jay.
First comment of the day, David Missler. I think that might be his first time with first comment, maybe?
I think it was like last week or the week before.
Okay.
Recently,
All right.
he's been in there.
He's been chiming in like right away, one way or the other.
All right,
Trump's
so
got to step his game up.
Yeah, the summers are falling way
It's
behind.
wintertime. It's
All
fall
right.
coming up now.
give a shout out to everybody. David Missler, Abdi Hassan, Jacob Paul, Chuck Summers, William Sable, Travis Whitfield, Stephanie Summers, Nick Short, Craig Zero, Steven Sievers, Joe Carlozo, Samuel L. Jackson, Mark Bellert, Billy Holmes, Ed in Columbus, Flock Nation, Troy, Sherry Reedy, as always, T. Will Wilt, Spirit of Justice, Malik Carr, John Marshall, Gravel Neffin, Living Legend, and J-Man.
Donovan-
Appreciate each and every one of you guys chiming in. as
Donovan
always.
and Craig also chiming in.
Oh, there we go.
Hey,
Donovan late.
Is Be More YouTuber out there today?
And Be More YouTuber's been pretty
seen
quiet.
him in a
today.
while.
I
I
haven't
hope he's
seen
a-
him for a little bit.
Yeah.
I hope he's all right.
He seems to be too busy.
There was a-
too busy producing a show.
There was a cameo of Ryan Shamel in between Kleenexes in there, too.
Craig Zero says he got the anniversary badge. Congrats, buddy.
The real Steven Sievers is in the house, too. That's right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, not the one that pisses Drew off.
No, I
during
like this
draft
Steven
day.
Sievers a lot better. I know this Steven Sievers is the real one.
I know we've been kind of talking some of the comments as they come in, but anything
Yeah.
that stood out to you that we didn't bring up?
Nah, I mean, we've been trying to comment and bring things in as the show's kind of going on. Like I said, a lot of love out there for all the content, and everything that we do with the show. So we appreciate you guys in sharing that love with us.
I think I saw somebody chiming in saying we need a radio station or something.
Yeah, something along this line, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it. Well, let's head over to the Liquor Stop Brew of the Week. And this week, Jerry and the crew sent us home with some Peabody Heights Brewery. And this is their Happy Lager. And it's aptly named Work Harder for the Ravens, because if you don't like it, work harder and try to beat us.
no one cares.
This lager is not bad at all.
Yeah, I like that.
6% ABV, pretty smooth actually.
Yeah, I like a lot of lagers.
Slight hop to it, but we've had some hit or misses from Peabody, but this one I think is actually pretty good. You liked it?
Yeah, I liked it.
Okay, Fred, what did you think of this one?
I thought it's pretty good. I mean, it's
Give the fans a look at that can.
yeah. So here we go.
You
It's
got to do
the,
if you're
I
going
gotta
to
do
sit in the producer chair, you got to do the. No,
Yeah.
turn it the other way.
There he
go.
goes. Work hard.
Amateur hour.
That's pretty cool. Hey, listen, I do better than Ryan in my first go. Just saying. Work harder, Hoppy Lager. It is what it says, man. It's a cool can. I love the advertisement behind it. Taste is, pretty much a typical IPA. It's pretty good. I like it.
And another one that they sent us home with is actually pretty good. Is from Dewey Beer Company. So Dewey Beach out over in
That
Delaware.
one was really good.
This one is, which is surprising because you do not like sours, and this
Yeah.
is considered
If
a
you
good.
like
It's
it,
a
it's
sour.
a-
Not overly tart. It's
So-
a sour, but not overly.
I'm handing you the can so people can see it. This is their strawberry pretzel salad. Now,
It's a strawberry beer.
as Drew and I were talking before the show, as we tasted this, it's not something where I think I would drink this entire can.
Pretty good.
But it's
gonna
still
drink another
good.
one.
It's strawberry. It's strawberry pretzels and cream. It's 4%. It's a goes. Again, if you don't like sour beers, if he's drinking it, you should get
Should
it.
try it,
They've got
yeah.
it up at Liquor Stop, 1510 Conowingo Road. Tell Jerry and the crew up there that Birdland BS sent you. Get your 10% off. All right, gentlemen. We've got no Terps tonight.
I will say, maybe small Terps note, basketball team's AP preseason top 21.
Yep.
Not, well,
It's
top 20.
21.
They're number 21.
Yeah.
It's preseason and it's
Hey,
the AP
man.
poll.
Hey, man.
I'm going to speak
Thank
for
you,
Fred.
Scott.
It doesn't fucking matter.
There it was coming.
better than like
It was
50.
coming.
You're over in that show today. I'll just speak for you
That's
all night. So we've got an interesting rundown for you guys this week. I figured a few topics that are out there and making national headlines. LSU head football coach Ed Orgeron, right? Apparently mutually agreed to part ways at the end of the season. They're still going to pay him his remaining 16.
mutual. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right.
It wasn't
So accurate. Such a great.
$16.95 million owed on his contract. They're going to pay it all.
He's
I
in
mean-
studio.
Man's out here hitting on pregnant women and
At gas stations.
Well, so
officials
before
of
you
the
get into
school.
that,
I know she was pregnant. I just thought she was fat.
So hang on a second, hang on. Because when it first came out, none of these stories came to light, right? At first, it was just they've decided to part ways, which had me thinking. I went and looked, and I'm like, wait a second. He's only been there for like 5 years. He's actually got a pretty decent record over there.
Well, when Burr was there.
66-49 record as the head coach at LSU since 2016. Thought it was a short leash, right? You look at it, he took them to 2 Citrus Bowls, won 1, lost 1. He won the Fiesta Bowl, a Peach Bowl, and a college championship, all within the past 5 years. If I said that to
It
you,
was crazy
if I said Mike Loxley did that, you'd be flipping,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
So there had to be more to the story. Well, Drew alluded to it because there was. Apparently, he hit on the wife of a board member, and not just any board member, the athletic director's wife. How do you know that a woman at a gas station is not the athletic
He
director's
just
wife?
don't give a shit.
And you don't give a shit.
He's an older guy and he's single. Let him be.
Well, he's single as of this year, earlier this year, right? But here's the other thing.
As long as he's being nice about it, trying to court the women.
But here's the other thing. Did you hear the stories about the practices? He was bringing women to practices and then letting their boys participate in the drills, right? Just to get with them, right? So there's definitely more to the story here. This is going to keep unfolding, I'm sure.
Hey, there's worse stories. Like you would have thought there would be a lot worse,
coming out of him?
devious situations. If everything he's doing is legal, hey.
I guess,
I mean, probably lay off the LSU officials' wives.
we know Odell Beckham wasn't down there.
Yeah, right. So that was kind of the interesting one story that I had for this week. Fred, did you have a story that you wanted to bring up or talk about this week?
Well, I mean, we kind of hinted on some of it earlier, man, but we got, retired players hating on current players. We got current players hating on retired players.
Wait, hold on.
Let's start this out.
They're hating on retired players that are media members.
That's true. Well, here's the one that is a media member now that I had a lot of respect for. Bart Scott, a guy that played here, earned his stripes as an undrafted free agent, came in and was a very impactful player on this defense in the early 2000s. Obviously, he had a good NFL career, moved on to the Jets, I think is where he went later on.
One good year, and that was it.
Yeah. He had a couple good years. But I really valued him as a player here in Baltimore. But the cheap shots and the bullshit that he is going after Hollywood with right now, telling him that he wouldn't be a target, he wouldn't even be on the field, a starting wide receiver
Detroit.
on any other team in the AFC.
Such horse shit.
That's such bullshit. Yes, I understand that he's had some
league.
drop issues, but you know what? So did Devontae Adams early in his career. So did Randy Moss early on in his career.
Different position.
So
Tiki
did
Barber
Jerry
had issues.
Rice early on in his career. Some of the greatest all-time wide receivers. I'm not saying Hollywood is going to ever be in the same breath as any of those wide receivers that I just listed. But here's the thing. If you put Hollywood on Kansas City's team, he is their number 2 wide receiver, and Patrick Mahomes works very well with him, I think. You could put him in Buffalo, even with Stephon Diggs and Emmanuel Sanders.
You could put him in Miami or Jacksonville, for God's sake.
You can put him anywhere. There's
said
so many
he
other
couldn't-
teams out there. It's absolutely absurd right now.
You know what's crazy? He said that he couldn't even be a Beasley in Buffalo.
Right.
But the thing that gets me is Rashad Perriman played on a couple teams after he was released from the Ravens, and he couldn't catch shit anyways.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing with this whole situation, right? I loved Hollywood's response. What do you expect from a guy named Bart?
Yeah.
And then that was where I turn, and I'm not normally one that ever gets too serious with these kind of things, but so that was his response. And
You
it was
don't get too serious with these kind of things.
well,
Fuck you, Steven Severs.
no, I mean
What does Steven Severs got to do with anything? Jesus, God.
No, during
that thing
No, I know.
and that's not what I'm talking. I'm talking about a talking head having some kind of verbal thing or a Twitter dispute with a player.
Yeah.
Because where I turned was, okay, yeah, his rebuttal to you was for Hollywood. Was to kind of make fun of your name, which really wasn't even that bad because
It's a little childish, but
best
yeah, I get it.
known Bartholomew is a goddamn Simpsons character. But my thing is, So your response to that was to butcher Marquise.
To double down.
For no fucking reason.
Yep.
One. Two, to say that
He's a 40-year-old grown-ass man.
to say that you as a Bartholomew is going to get all the interviews, and a guy named Marquise Brown isn't going to get any interviews when we've been calling the motherfucker
Right.
Hollywood since Oklahoma.
Well, your name may be Hollywood, but I'll get more interviews than you will. You're only going to get more interviews because you run your mouth on stupid shit.
shows-
Not because you
Hollywood,
make an
here's the
impact.
thing. Hollywood has more followers on his Twitch channel playing video games than you do on your fucking Twitter
Podcast.
as a NFL
And then-
podcaster. Whatever.
And
Get
then
out of here.
He goes the extra mile and not even really to defend the guy, but like he goes the extra mile to shit on RG3. They're fucking co-workers.
Right.
The co-host, I wish I
ESPN,
knew who
yeah.
the co-host was.
Yeah, but
then
he has
goes,
a
the guy
Heisman
was
trophy,
kind of
okay?
wanted to be like, we work with him, right?
Yeah, no, it was
I don't
bad.
give a shit. No, it's just like he's auditioning to be the next Stephen A. Smith.
And then
That's
you
all
have
I
the
can
whole
take from it.
the whole DK situation.
And I'm still behind on this, so you guys are going to be kind of educating me.
So it was something small, right? It was Shannon Sharp basically saying, calling out DK that you got to be smarter than that in this situation in reference to a play. And DK comes back. I forget what exactly he said, but it was a tweet back to something like, who the hell are you? Or what did you do? Or something
Yeah.
like that. Dude, you look. I forget who just said it in there, and
He
I
looked like a
started
Hornet.
laughing.
Yep.
It looks like the Hornets
think it
mascot
was,
with Sam Hare.
It was whoever commented first.
David Missler.
David Missler, yeah. he was-
So
yeah.
talking about the fact that it looks like the Charlotte Hornets mascot's hair, I think it was hilarious. Stephanie A. Smith, I think it's David Missler.
I wanna
chiming
get to
in
something
go.
after your point.
But the Shannon, calling him out, the back and forth, and DK winds up, kind of rebuking what he said, and look. Dude, you've been in this league. My suggestion to you, DK, you've been in this league and you've been a little bit too headed to the Riddler aspect, right? You've been too headed. You've been good at times. You've been bad at times. You've been bad, right? Don't talk and go toe to toe with a guy that is a Hall of Famer. Okay, it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out. He played on multiple teams. He's a multiple, all pro, multiple time Pro Bowler,
Multiple
right?
Super Bowl
multiple
winner.
Super Bowl winner. This is a guy. Shut up. In fact, you might want to shut up and occasionally listen. I don't always agree with some of the things that Shannon says. Right here, I think he has some things to learn. DK, you got a lot to learn, and you could learn from a guy like this. Unlike the situation of Hollywood, don't learn anything from Bart Scott.
To add
Don't.
to the talking heads and add to Stephanie A. Smith, and I hate to give Stephen A. Smith any kind of little bit of airtime on the show, but I don't know if anyone saw it, but like after last week's, he kind of was one of those like could not say any more good things about Lamar, like in and out.
Yep.
So let's run down what happened in our game against the Chargers. We won dominantly as a team, and he didn't have to do a lot. He didn't have to throw for 300 yards.
He had three rushing
This
touchdowns.
guy still found it in him to go on there and still blast the guy on his next show saying, "Yeah, well, but when he has to go against this guy, and this guy in the playoffs, like I still got a seat in the playoffs."
Yeah,
Shut the fuck up.
He's just
like I said, I hate to bring it up, but just while we're talking with that theme, I wouldn't have brought it up any other way without us already talking about those other ones.
James, let's throw it over to you because Major League Baseball, you're the one that kind of pointed this out to us in our chat, and we kind of talked about it a little bit. Major League Baseball is now going to provide housing for minor league players. What did you find? What were you kind of feeling about with this situation?
I think this should have been a long time ago. This is like MLB.
Finally getting something right.
Yeah, but it took forever. This
For
should
now.
have been,
It did.
This should have been done a long time ago. Like these guys aren't making that much, and one day you're going to be on your team hopefully, and you can't give them fucking housing. Like you can build a complex in fucking the Dominican Republic, but you can't get fucking homes for all of them to live in.
So here's the entire story behind it. So they are going to be providing, Major League Baseball will be providing housing to all minor league players starting in 2022 next year. They're still figuring out, like certain teams are probably going to actually provide the lodging for them. Some are going to be providing like a stipend for them to use towards lodging, and whatever they do with it is what they do with it.
Here we go again. It's a stipend.
Stipend. Jesus Christ. That is the third time I've done that. Wow.
Yes.
The
That's a drink, a
Astros,
stiffin.
the Astros actually paved the way for this. They we don't try to speak highly of the Astros organizations very rarely in Major League Baseball, but they did start provide lodging to their minor league players last year.
Oh, you mean when when they had like 15 guys to take care of?
Well, yeah, I guess that's true.
Hey, but did they take care of those 15 guys?
They were the only one to do
that.
it. But it's a good trend that we're finally starting to see some of these minor league players getting the respect and getting the compensation that they deserve. Lodging is a good step. Last year, their salaries increased from like 38 to 72% over the year. So just to kind of break that down so you know what that looks like, because these guys still don't get paid a whole lot of money.
No.
They went from $290 a week to $500 in Class A. They went from $350 to $600 a week in Double A. They went from $502 to $700 a week in Triple A for a full season. Now, granted, these guys are only paid during the season, right? So they're only making $12,000 at the single A level, $14,400 at the double A, and $16,800 at the triple A level. So these guys still have to have part-time jobs in the offseason when they're training and they're doing everything to get prepared for the full season. Because, in this day and age, $16,000 a year is not going to get you anything.
Yeah, they're only being paid for really 5 months, right? They're not being paid for the additional time. So these guys are getting, the additional. The only thing I would say is it's a fine line, because then you got some of these guys that are coming, especially your first rounders, right? You're going to take care of Adley too?
Right.
Adley, the guy that you're paying quite a few $1 million, right? He had a big signing bonus. I understand he's not making a lot, but if he can't make smart decisions and take care of himself with the money that we gave him to sign, I don't know. I'm torn on that situation. I do think they should take care of a lot of these guys, especially at the single A, double A level. Single A, double A. I think some of the guys, double A, because they're playing a little bit more, I think it's one of those things that needs to happen a little bit stronger. Good, James.
I don't know how they can't just, especially maybe like on the AAA level, build like a dorm next to the stadium. Like, build something. Like, it's not going to cost that much to build it. And it don't have to be fancy. You can build, like, a thing where you have, like, 2 rooms on the side that has their own bathroom and share, like, a family room. Like, they don't need all that.
Like college dorms.
Yeah, do something. I know it's not going to cost that much. And they piss away dumb money anyway, so they can invest in their future by giving them a place to live.
Well, the other factor in this, too, that's not being factored in is some of these guys do get additional contracts with local companies. It's that advertising, name, image, likeness type stuff that they wind up getting a little bit of advertising money for. It's not anything major, right? But it is a little bit more. And most of that money is going to guys, like an Adley, like a Grayson, right? The guys that don't actually necessarily need it. So it's important for them to really take care of it.
I have a question, because for some reason, I'm either having a massive hole in my mind. Like, when the CBA gets negotiated on the major league level, does that have any inclusion in stuff that happens with the minor league?
Depends on how MLB PA wants to approach it.
You know what I mean? Like, when I can think of back when the NFL, like when their CBA talks happen, you have representation. Like college players, there's a representation like every team has for the league.
Right.
Like there's a college player that is a senior incoming. Like I know Von Miller was at one time. Like is there representation from the minor leaguers like in the CBA talks?
No, not that I'm aware of. If the MLB PA wants to include them in it, include them or be thinking for them, they can. That's the difference between
But then again, I know NHL probably doesn't think of their minor league.
MLB is unique in this situation.
Chimed in. MLB Players Association does not include the MILB.
There you go.
Well, and also we hit on this head too. They're independent owners too, just like Cal Ripken.
That's why we're contracting the minor league.
It's not like the Orioles own all these minor league teams.
Yeah, the Tide used to be with New York Mets.
Yeah, so they just have owners, and it'll be great if they can finally bridge something together. And they need home. Like they're not making that much. And when you go to Ironburg Stadium, it's like playing for a professional team. That stadium is gorgeous.
Oh, no.
If a lot of people don't know what Ripken Stadium is, man, it's gorgeous.
All right. So 2 more things before we hit to the 2-minute warning here. Give us a quick update on the MLB postseason.
I wanted to check that because I know Atlanta and LA were playing. It's there we go. Top 9 now in the Atlanta and Dodgers series. Dodgers are leading 6-5 in the top of the 9th.
Okay, so
maybe it could be 2-1.
What's that series at right now? 1-1.
So it's at 2-0 now.
Oh, 2-0.
2-0 Atlanta. Yeah.
If the Dodgers hold on, you'll have a 2-1 series. But Braves, being the division winner and hosting, they have the home field advantage. So,
and I think in the AL, you have Boston's leading the series 2-1.
Yeah, they're 2-1. And they're just my pessimism is I think Boston's winning it again.
What's the lesser of both evils there? You got the Red Sox and the Astros. Who are you pulling for in that series?
The Astros.
Yeah,
I feel dirty about that.
I feel dirty in saying Boston, but I think it's
point
Boston.
being, for the love of God, Braves, figure this shit out and beat them all.
Yes.
Please. Because I used to back when I was a naive kid, you don't, as a 10-year-old, like you have a different favorite team every year, and for the most part, most kids. I really liked the Braves because they were the national, like they were on TBS all the time. So you got that America's team hashtag.
Well, they owned it.
I've always found my always kind of rooting for the Braves. Yes, I want the Orioles to win, but I'm always following the Braves. So I was already going into the postseason thing. Please Braves, but it is a hell of a story because you think of them like
the injuries that they've had to overcome.
I mean, you've overcome like your best player shredded his knee.
Yeah.
Another good player had, domestic violence. That's on him, but that's another player that's gone. Like they've lost Soroka, tore his Achilles, the key pitcher for them. And somehow, whether you want to, it's because of their division being lesser or what, they prevailed and they won their division. And one way or the other, whether the series goes 7 and it goes, however it goes to the Dodgers, they had a 2-0 lead against probably the best team in the league.
Yeah, and they're, obviously we're pulling from the Braves on that side.
Go
I think
Braves.
we're saying Boston, maybe you're saying Astros on the other side. One of the stories just at real quick yesterday, did you guys see the situation with Eduardo Rodriguez being a former Oriole?
I didn't know about this one.
So what it was when he walked off the field previously,
I remember I know the Correa
was talking about that. Well, as he's walking off the field, Eduardo Rodriguez was doing the same thing
Which
back
is
at
what
him.
Boston was doing, by the way.
Right. Well, Alex Cora, they show Alex Cora.
No.
He was, no, don't you do that. Don't you do that. And then he came in and pulled him in. And he said something to him because it was, you don't do that shit. You do not give them ammo. It was, I guess there's that little tie, but they've just been dominating the Astros. I'm happy to kind of see
3
it.
grand slams. The only other team to do it in a single postseason, or the series or season, was the Braves in '98.
Don't forget, Papelbon came out and threw out the first pitch.
91 miles an hour. It was impressive.
That's one dude I just never, just looking at his face, just punch him.
So last thing I did want to touch on, and we are going to hit on this super quick. It's just the fact that COVID protocols are starting tightening up at all levels in all areas of sports. And we're seeing the continued effect on COVID on sports. We see the situation of Kyrie Irving with the Nets. Obviously, if you didn't hear about it, he's not able to play when they're in New York because of New York City protocols. He has to be vaccinated in order to come in. He came out and said he's not vaccinated.
Look, your prerogative to do it.
Adam Silver, credit to him because there's been, stuff that's come out. He stepped up. He said, look, this situation is not a league issue. All the people that are saying it's a league issue, it's not. It's an issue between Kyrie and New York City. That's where it's at. I understand that. Washington State. They fired their head football coach, active today, Nick Rolovich, because he didn't. 4 assistant coach also refusing to get the vaccine per state mandate in that situation. Understand, no matter where you fall on this side, it's affecting people, right?
Mind if I take this next one?
Go ahead, San Jose Sharks.
What an absolute dumbass. Because if you don't know about Evander Kane, because I know a lot of people don't really, our audience isn't really hockey guys. I was wearing a Caps hat earlier, obviously. So Evander
Kane, you should put it back on. That hair's all over the place.
Yeah, it is. I need haircuts. Yeah. Thanks, Mom.
Let's zoom in.
He's got it right on Ogeron's titty.
So look,
just like
realize Ogeron
just like he likes
me.
it.
I feel privileged.
My belly's never looked any better.
Stop. So Evander Kane's already, and let's reel it in. All right, you're taking the Ryan role. Evander Kane's already in hot water anyway because of gambling issues. So he's had gambling issues. He's had an issue with maybe his ex-wife. Well, this guy, so he just got suspended 21 games. You're not an average Joe. You're a pro athlete. You've got a name at least. So what did he get suspended for? Well, establishing violations. He had used a fake vaccine card, which doesn't make any sense anyway, because your league does not mandate it. It's not like you have to get this. Like, your league does not mandate it.
No.
You're already got like a black check mark next to your name because of all your dealings. I don't see him. I don't think he's ever playing for the Sharks again, because I've already heard the players aren't going to want to play with him.
They don't want to.
Like, you know how sports are. It's a brotherhood, and it's
you
already
violated
like
trust.
There's so many, like I said, there's so many negative checks next to your name.
Yeah. And
no one's going to want to touch you soon.
The nice thing that I think NHL, and this is the last thing, we'll get to 2-minute warning. NHL has it right because he forfeits his pay in this situation.
And
it goes to the Players Emergency Assistance Fund. And that's where they got the collective bargaining agreement right. That's where I think NFL, MLB, NBA, y'all need to learn. NHL has it right that they take care of their players in emergency situations, whether it's a I don't care what you do. NFL, retirement fund, whatever it may be. Something along those lines. It needs to happen.
No rules. No boundaries. 2 topics. 30 seconds each. It's time for the 2-minute warning.
All righty, it is time for the 2-minute warning, y'all, as we wind this show down. Fred, you're going to be reading these questions today. This is a different role for you.
I am. On the other side of things.
I feel like an honor is bestowed upon us that he gives us these questions.
You guys are going to do great. All right, first question. Disrespectful or appropriate? The way Dan Snyder and the Washington Football Team organization handled the Sean Taylor's jersey retirement.
This is going to kill him not to be in on this, but here's the deal. Look, it was disrespectful. You have multiple different levels here. I get he showed up in the Redskins gear and a Redskins hoodie, right? First of all, strike one. If it had been a Sean Taylor hoodie and if he's honoring Sean Taylor, I'm fine with it. If he's not honoring Sean Taylor, you're a fucking idiot, because everything else, to Fred's point, he's been in the background. The porta pots, shit show, and then the fact that you have it cordoned off and his number the wrong way and everybody stepping on it, fuck off.
And then you add to the fact that the jackass that is Jackson Mahomes does his little girly TikToks and acting like a teenage girl wearing a pink hoodie, just sitting there gallivanting on a space, whether you realize where you're at or not. It just goes, it goes to the fact that everything with the emails and all stuff like that, it's WFT seems to keep getting away with it. This owner seems to keep getting away with it. You got this extra disrespect. It was all completely disrespect.
With the Dodgers whining about the current MLB playoff format, are you for a change in playoff seeding, or should the Dodgers stop crying and when the games are scheduled to play?
I fall on the side that I think that it needs to be redone. I want to see in the playoffs, and this is in every sport, I want to see the best teams, right? That includes the NFL, that includes the MLB. You shouldn't be allowed to have a winning record or 20 games less and be in charge of a situation. I understand there's conferences. I just disagree.
You used to have a time frame where it was 2 teams per league, and that was it. So there were teams that had 90 wins, and they didn't even make it to playoffs and get a chance. You had a team where it was just you had the best record that didn't win the division, and you were a wild card, and there was no play-in game. They gave you a playoff game. That's cool enough. Sorry, you should have beat the Giants one more extra fucking game. And guess what? You did. And then you made it to the next round, and you're losing right now. Well, yeah, it's 2-1 now. But still, you had your shot. I don't want to hear about this whole revamp thing, and we can carry it in the after hours if we have to, because I love the 2-minute warning questions this week. Like, we gotta boil them over.
Yeah, make sure you stay tuned for the after hours. We got a lot to cover, including some fun, being it's almost Halloween.
Yeah,
some October fun.
Some top 5s from y'all. We'll see how that goes. All right, guys, stay tuned for the after hours, as Fred said. Obviously, you can check us out on our website, www.birdlandbs.com. While you're there, you can check out all the Shell and Tell episodes. New one went out last week. Make sure you give them a like, follow, subscribe as while you're there. Make sure you check out the gear station as well. Get yourself some Birdland BS gear. We've always got it on. We always support the show. Make sure you share us out there to all of your friends and family on social media, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Give us that like, follow, subscribe, share while you're there. Turn on those alerts so you know when we go live every Tuesday night on all those social media pages. You want your opinion heard? Come on the show. You guys have been off the charts with the comments tonight. Been loving the flow here. Keep it coming, even when we're not going. I know that we have some of you guys that comment. Craig Zero, you're always giving us some things to talk about that we wind up talking about the show, so we really appreciate it there. Make sure you guys all go out and make sure you also follow us individually on all of our social media pages. How you find us is at the bottom, at Scott BLBS, at Drew27, and at James2032, James Bond 2032. I got it right. At Fred BLBS. While you're on all of those social media pages, like we said, share so that you can help become a part of Birdland BS Nation and help us continue to grow as you have been doing. For Drew, I'm used to saying for Fred. This is weird.
Drew.
For Drew, Fred over in the producer chair, James over on the casting couch, Ryan, hope you're feeling better at home,
sniffles.
and myself.
Blow your nose.
Blow your nose. Stay tuned for After Hours and Last Call, guys. We'll see ya.
See ya. It's time for the after party.
It's last call for that alcohol.
Woo!
Man,
All right,
show.
man.
all right, that was a great show.
It
great,
was.
Great 2-minute warning questions from the two of you. So let's start.
I don't want to pat myself on the back, but that kind of felt like one of my best shows.
It was pretty damn good.
It was
Drew.
pretty good.
It was pretty good.
Getting
Produced
into this
very
groove.
well. It was,
Best producing. You know, that might be the best producing job in about 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago was really
man.
good, too.
Again,
man.
big shout out to all the BSers out there, man, that stayed trying to. We had over 30 followers,
Yeah.
like 30 live watchers for the longest time, man. It was great.
Yeah, appreciate
we
you
love
guys.
football season for this reason.
Yeah.
Let's obviously we gave our quick takes. Let's start with the first question, the Dan Snyder situation. James, I'm going to have you go first because I know he's going to go off on a tangent over here as soon as I throw it to him. So your aspect of the situation here.
That whole thing in Washington is a fucking shit show, fire sale. And the thing is, I didn't know this. I thought Dan Snyder still owns the team. Actually, it's been signed over to his wife, but I'm pretty sure he, tells his wife to do whatever because I guess they asked him to step down or whatever, and he didn't. So he gave the power to his wife, but he still can give the power by saying this and that. But for him to wear a fucking jersey, a sweatshirt, at least wear a fucking jersey. Like, you own this fucking team. You should have one in your fucking closet. This guy was a saint. He tore shit up for them. Like, he was hard knock football. Like, it just tells you how bad of an organization
It was like he
it is.
ran into the store and grabbed it right before they took the
No,
picture.
he went to the fucking team store and be like, we have a jersey? Yeah, we just printed these out today for fans to make a couple extra bucks. Just send one my way. It's just poor. I wish the NFL would just step in and say, hey, man, we got too much stuff going on. And then you have I know it gets off it, but we have 640,000 emails and nothing else comes out. It's like, oh, everything's fine. All those emails were great.
Yeah, the worst
The
thing was
whole
Gruden,
team
yeah.
is trash. They only have a fucking name. Sell them now. Give them a name. Start over fresh and get a new fucking stadium for them.
Welcome to the Fred Says Fuck Dan Snyder Hour.
Well,
Fred, go ahead.
I mean, rightfully
Paints
so.
itself.
This was an absolute disgrace and completely disrespectful to the legacy of Sean Taylor's family. I mean, just everything about it. You got the family, family and fans didn't know about this until 72 hours prior to them making this decision. 3 days. So, and you got to think, Sean Taylor, I understand his career was short, but his impact was huge within that organization and within the NFL community. This is a guy who is globally respected as one of the best safeties to ever live, right? And he is that kind of like, oh, what could have been? What would have been if, the unfortunate circumstances didn't happen with Sean Taylor, right? This was a retirement that you can't get wrong, right? I talked about it a couple of weeks ago about like how kind of piss poor the Ravens did with like the Ring of Honor ceremonies and the fact that like they do it at halftime.
Snyder takes that to a new level.
This like what the Ravens did was like rolling out the red carpet compared to what Dan Snyder did.
Not to cut you off, but like they didn't even announce it till a few days before.
That's what I said. That's what I said.
Come
72
on,
hours
because of all the bullshit.
Sorry, you have to excuse Drew. We didn't have.
He had to take a potty break.
I
turf
did.
segment tonight.
I was holding it, man, and we hit, and then I had to get my Evander Kane shit in because I wanted to call him out.
Back to Frank.
72 hours prior to notice. You got that. Then Dan Snyder, in a family photo with the family of Sean Taylor, wears a hoodie. Like a Bill Belichick hoodie for a family photo. When have you ever seen Dan Snyder not in a suit? Well, the one time you see him not in a suit is for Sean Taylor's retirement in a family photo with his family. Then let's pay homage by naming a street name after him, and let's unveil this street sign.
Good credit there.
That's a way you should go. That's a sign of respect. But you do it in front of a laundry list of fucking porta pots. What are we doing? What are we doing? Like the entire thing that the Washington football team did with this, it was one to just take attention away from all the negativity that's been around them, and it was a piss poor planning job. They said that they wanted to do this to build suspense. They wanted to, I forget how they worded it, but they basically wanted to surprise the fans by giving them this short notice to kind of build the suspense.
Maybe some
the
people
dumbest
want to be to the
excuse
game.
I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Dumbest excuse I've ever heard.
It was horrible. And to your point, the other thing, right? We were talking about pregame, right? It's some people with the Jackson Mahomes thing. They thought he got into the chained off area where they put Sean Taylor's number down.
They put him there.
They put it there. No, if you actually go look at the sideline view, people. They didn't even cordon that whole area off. It was the entire area that went down to that number was all open. He didn't step into the area. The area wasn't even cordoned off. It was just the regular area where the fans stand pregame.
But NFL needs to step in and
We're
make
not
this guy
giving
sell the
Jackson
team.
Mahomes a pass. He still is a douchebag.
No,
Oh,
we're not.
100%.
But at the same time, so there's a lot of people chiming in here. Sell the team, bring them to Richmond, Virginia, change the name to the River City Minotaurs, and then they'll be able to attend a Ravens game. Look, this whole situation, Nick Short, How to Destroy a Good Organization by Little Dan Snyder. It really is. And I think somebody else may have also said
Wearing
this
a
is
hoodie
1,000
4 times too big for him.
Yeah. Somebody else may have said something along the lines. I forget who it was. Somebody said something along the lines of this is 1,000 times worse than the guy that had to sell the Panthers, right? There you go, Thomas, right? 1,000 times worse than the guy that had to sell the Panthers. Why has the NFL? You're investigating at this point. Why is everything? I understand that you can't do a whole lot about the players. This organization needs to be suspended at the end of the season and or sold. Pick one until you figure out what the hell's going on there, and you put whatever may be the punishment into play, or you make him sell the team. I think it's sell the team. Something needs to be done with this organization. It's a fucking joke at this point. Dan Snyder should not be allowed to own the team. And here's the deal. The NFL owners can make the call that he has to sell the team and not accept him as an NFL owner.
I mean, that's the thing. The other owners, the good old boy circle, has to put their foot down. And
the good old boy circle sees that it's a shit show and sees that it's an easy win on the schedule every week.
That's like before all the Gruden came out. Apparently, all the owners want what's his face? The owner of
Mark, whatever his name, I forget his last name.
Gruden.
What are you talking about?
He's talking about owner of the Raiders.
Yeah.
It's like they're out to get Mark Davis.
Mark Davis. God,
Yeah.
his name.
They want him out of it too, and not because of the Gruden situation.
Just because his handlings of the team. I get it. It's the same thing. Coes can't dialogue with
Stephen A. Smith.
Oh,
Should get his own show in the TV time, or
it has nothing to do with it. Look, Craig, I'll disagree with you. It has nothing to do with his co-host can't dialogue with him. He is asinine. He steps over what he says all the fucking time. Look, here's the one thing I liked when it was him and Skip Bayless.
Set that up, Nick. I'm for it.
Skip would actually call him on his shit when he would say something one week and then do it another. Max Kellerman, not so much. He didn't do that. It didn't work. So I just Stephen A. Smith is a joke.
I'm getting frustrated, and Fred and I, we grew up before we went to school. We were watching ESPN before we went to school. Like I would get excited with Van Pelt and Stuart Scott and Rich Isley get me started in the morning. Dan Patrick getting this start. They had all the going. Now they're getting these washed up players.
Olbermann.
They're getting rid of good media people that maybe didn't play the sport but knows a lot, and they're replacing them with these sports guys that just because they have a name. I'm sorry, Dan Orlovsky, he was a shitty fucking quarterback.
He's one of those that definitely just wants to throw hot takes out there so he keeps his name out there.
He talks so much shit about, he should have done this, that. This is the guy that fucking stepped out of the end zone and still was trying to make a fucking play. And your football career fucking sucked. And you suck on ESPN, and they give these jobs to these fucking washed up fucking former players, and they're turning their show to trash.
Yeah. All right. The next thing I want to get your take on, obviously, the 2-minute warning real quick. The Dodgers situation, we gave our take. I think that an MLB and really every sport needs to have a format. It needs to be the best of the best. I don't care what division, whatever. If you want to break off divisions so that you have, these different regional areas, I don't care. I want to see in a championship round, I want to see the best of the best. Too often, especially in the NFL, we see teams with barely winning records, 500 records in the playoffs over teams that are much, much better. They're just in harder and tougher divisions. I think it's bullshit. It's the top teams every year. That's how you get a champion. Champions are the best of the best. If I don't get the chance to be the best of the best simply because I'm in the wrong region, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. I want to see the best of the best. It needs to be redone.
I'm with you too.
I understand that argument, and I don't necessarily disagree. But the other way you got to think about that too is it's hard to just do the seeding based off of wins and losses because
162 games in MLB.
But here's the thing, right? How many of those 162 games are played against your division teams, right? So if you're in a tough division, right, your chances of win-losses are going to be lower than somebody who's in an easier division. I'm not talking about any team in particular. I'm just saying, for example, we all talk about the AL East and how great of a division that was for so many years, right?
Now it's the NL West.
Right? So if you're in the NL West and you're playing against this top-level competition way more than somebody that's in the NL Central, well, the team in the NL Central that's the dominant team is going to have a better record, but doesn't necessarily mean that they're the better team because of the level of competition that they were going against on a consistent basis. Right. So I understand both arguments. That's why I'm kind of like, you are what you are. You are the seed that you are. You play the team that you play. But you don't win the fucking series. If you're that good, win the series.
But you don't want to see the best of the best.
But
how do you label the best of the best? Because
if you're so goddamn good, then why even then it should just be the two best records and go back to the old days where there's no wild card, there's no nothing.
Then there's no divisions. Then it's just the top 6 teams in the AL and it's top 6 teams in the NL.
I'm just saying, I'd rather see.
I don't have a problem with that because then we're watching the best teams against the best teams.
I'd rather see the Dodgers and the Giants play in the championship game.
So they should just be playing for the World Series
than just waste a fucking a playoff game against that.
They should be just playing in the World Series then because they're the two best teams.
I'm not saying I said with the playoffs, right? What I'm saying is, and this is an overhaul of every sport. The playoffs, when you get to the playoffs are supposed to be, these are the best teams, right? When you think of playoffs, you think of best teams. How many times in NFL, how many times even in MLB, an 80-win team, right, is in, but a team that wins 92 because they're in the wrong division doesn't get in. I understand what you're saying, but that's no fault of their own that their schedule was done that way. They still won enough games to be better than everybody else.
But the only way you get rid of that is getting rid of divisions.
I'm fine with that.
Are you though?
But then, but let's bring it back to let's bring it. That's the broad spectrum. Let's bring it in a little bit.
Hold on for 1 second, just to back up my point on this.
What
right?
does a division do?
Here's the thing. Think about on a collegiate level, right? What we've gone through with the Terps and how much of the rivalry that we miss with the ACC and the Dukes and the North Carolinas and those games and what they meant to the fan base, right? You do that in MLB baseball and you lose that rivalry novelty of the Dodgers and the Giants, the Red Sox and the Yankees, because they're not playing against each other 30 times a year, whatever the number is. They're only playing against each other if the schedule dictates it. It gets away from that aspect of baseball. I understand what your reasoning behind it is.
The difference with that,
I just don't think that's the answer.
The difference with that, though, is the conferences not wanting to play. You could very easily set up the structure where you play every team in the AL twice, period. Every team in the AL, home and away. Very easy. Then if you want to pop in a few games here or there, I don't know how you decide
but
that.
I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can do that logistically with travel and everything, too,
you
because...
could, but
That still makes me think of what I was saying, how back in the day when you didn't have a wild card and you had two divisions per league, it was the two best teams in those divisions. So if you did it that way, then are you if you're going to get rid of divisions, then are you going back to just it's 4 teams altogether, not 8? Because then, you know what I mean? Like they're going to play eventually. So okay, but if Dodgers get the home field advantage type of thing, you could still fucking lose.
So Thomas says weak divisions tend to have first place teams with inflated records. Same thing happens in hockey.
The Rays won all but one. Lost. They won all but one game because they got to beat up on the fucking Orioles. Like, is that fair to the Astros?
I got you.
Is it fair to the Angels? Right?
Chicago?
And I get what you're saying about the rivalries. My thing is there's in baseball, there's different cycles of different teams. I tell you what, based off of what I see, I would have loved to have seen the Orioles face Shohei Ohtani more than once.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because he's, one of the most polarizing players in baseball.
Right. There's games like that aren't happening because you have these divisions, and it's tough. Maybe the Yankees. Are the Yankees as good if they have to go up against the White Sox a little bit more?
Yeah.
Right? Are they as good if they have to go against the Astros a little bit more? Maybe not. You're going to get by leveling it out. You're talking about competitive, competition level. You get a competitive balance because everybody's facing the same people around the same amount of times. It's super easy.
Here's the other part of it too, from you, who is more of
I'm a traditionalist. So this is weird coming from me, right?
Yeah, it's really weird. And more of a purist of the game. You get rid of divisions. You get rid of all of the pennants, the division titles, and all that stuff. Like the reaction, Nick Markakis when they won their first division, like that's gone. Yeah, you made a playoff seed. You made a playoff. It's a different. I don't know. I'm not saying it shouldn't be, but it's just different.
I get you. I'm just saying. Let's say you're on a team, and we'll go to football, and you win. You have a winning fucking record, and you don't make the playoff because you have a 6-8 team like Seattle did.
It happens all the time.
Like it just sucks. You busted your ass, but you played. Let's say a tough
because you played in the wrong division.
You're in the wrong division, and you got these fucking scumbags. And here's a good example. Where the Titans are, that division, Jacksonville. You have a shitty-ass division. You can be fucking good and fucking just roll in there and they get your ass kicked in the playoff because you're in a fucking shitty division.
Yeah, we've seen it. And that's why I said it's across. It's not, to me, it's not just an MLB problem.
And we all say numbers don't lie, right? Why did my record doesn't give me what I deserve?
Yeah. Look, there's a ton of different ways. My whole point in saying what I did was, yes, I think that something needs to be done about it being the best. Yes, the divisions are there, but it needs to be done. So, all right, you got the after.
I want to have a little fun, man.
Let's have some fun.
Yeah, let's have some fun, right? There's 16 or 17 of you guys still chiming in.
An argument out of it.
I want to do something different. It's October, right? We're getting close to Halloween, right? I heard somebody do this on the radio, and I thought it would be a kind of a cool conversation. Let's get away from sports for a second, right? Think back to your childhood. Don't Google search this. Think back to your childhood. What are your top 5 scary movies, horror movies, thriller movies, whatever you want to categorize them? The movies that made you think, I might want to sleep with the light on tonight, or I'm not turning the TV off, or I'm going to sleep with my door open. You know, those kind of movies for you.
Or
What
like a
were
month
your-
ago. 'Cause that can still happen as an adult.
I want to see the difference in answers here. Don't Google search this. Just think back to the memory bank, right? What are those movies that gave you the chills? Don't give me that I'm a man and shit don't scare me answer. No, we all had movies, at least when we were kids, that freaked us out a little bit. And it's funny because I heard some of the answers. I heard some answers on the radio when they were talking about this, and some of the movies that did it for other people, like I wouldn't have thought of like as a scary movie or horror movie, like Jaws, right? Jaws is like a thriller. It's kind of a suspenseful movie, but that was one.
But at the time, you didn't see shit like that. Like,
Right,
it
you're
was
right.
Really never.
Absolutely. So I'm not
done.
going to judge you based on it. I just want to see what everybody's
Yeah.
answers are. Another one was like Alien, and I would think Alien is more of a sci-fi
yeah.
kind of movie. But, you know, if it scares you, then to you it's a
I got
scary
one.
movie.
I got one. Then.
All right, James, what's your number 5? I want your number
Oh,
5.
shit.
Oh, we got to
Like-
number them?
Yeah,
Okay,
top
okay,
5.
no, okay.
Top 5.
Okay, no, I like
That's
it.
harder.
I got it. I got it.
See, that's kind of weird because as a kid, you may not think it's a scary movie as now, but
That's fine.
Does it have to be as a kid, or can this be like in our lives?
In your lives.
In
In your
our
lives.
lives.
I'm just
He
thinking,
was
like,
thinking
my-
back to
my-
childhood.
my num-
But I
my-
like the way you put it helps
Yeah.
me give it a list now.
my number
That
5
works.
as a child, you guys probably not going to think of this. To me, 1985, 86 is around there. Gremlins.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
a Christmas story, whatever, but that was fucking scary when he turned into that shit, dude. And be
pour
like
a little
5,
water
6,
on
you're
their
like, what the fuck, man? Especially when he jumped down the fucking water, like, oh shit,
It's just,
dude.
it's just,
I love it.
It's just a parable for being a adult. I mean, to being a parent to 4-year-olds. I'm telling you. Pour
So
water
Craig,
on him and
Craig
it's over.
Zero, he's got 3. So he's got Halloween, Freddy Krueger, and Exorcist. All 3 very valid choices there. Krueger, the Nightmare on Elm Street, very freaky. And the thing about Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street, that's kind of cool is he was like the main character. Usually those scary guys, they just kind of come and they scare you when they're supposed to, but he was like the personality behind those movies. It's kind of an interesting movie. For me, it's not in my top 5, but I love Freddy Krueger.
So, my number 5, since I'll take this more to adulthood and
right.
save some of the other ones that are definitely childhood. Dude, the first Insidious, dude, scared
Insidious was
the
good.
shit because
Yeah.
it was jump scares, and sometimes a lot of those movies, the jump scares are cheap pops. Not this fucking movie. It was like so many cheap scares. There were so many little things that you didn't see in the background that you saw, and it was like it gave you that spine chill. And the fact that like the very first time I saw the movie, me and Ariel watched it like on a laptop. It was one of those situations where it's
Yeah.
like it was in movies, so you watch it illegally, and it was like so you got the
You
jump
watched
scare.
it legally. What are you talking
So,
about?
Yeah, but you got the jump scare, and you're like right here, like the laptop's right in your face. So when those jump scares happen, it scared the ever-loving shit out of you.
Right.
So all my other ones go to childhood, but that one goes to adulthood because I still maintain that's one of I still think it's kind of an underrated movie. But
I got
Insidious
you.
got me.
All right, I'll get you guys started. I'll give you my 5 just because I had already thought about this out and planned it out, and I'll give you my 5, and I'll kind of explain why. Again, this goes back to like my childhood. You know, there's some that were when I was a little bit older that were freaky movies, but 5 for me: Child's Play, Chucky, the little fucking doll, the little red-headed doll.
Did you have
You
a
should
family
know.
member that had a bunch of dolls?
Yes,
That's
I did.
why. I knew it. I knew it.
I couldn't walk in a room that had those creepy ass dolls in it. Nope,
Hey, not the-
wasn't for me.
I had
I'll go
somebody
to
that
another
knew.
Chucky movie, and without ever seeing it, whenever I would see the commercial
Right.
for Bride of Chucky,
Yes.
just seeing the commercial, I'm still young. I'm not
Right.
as old as Fred. I was still really young, so just seeing that commercial,
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
and then you see the movie a little bit later on, and it's not as
So
scary.
go through.
So another one, and this one is more so not a like scary thing. It's more of like the creepiness, and this is when I was much older, right? This is when I was much older.
Craig says, Chucky, friend, you scared of John Gruden?
Right, exactly.
Not anymore.
So for me, number 4, The Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Oh.
If you watch that movie, bro, let
That's
me
a good
tell
one,
you,
man. And
that
she-
is a freaky fucking movie because that's real life shit, right?
And-
That supposedly happened, and it's all based on true events and whatnot. And the way her body contorts,
And she
all
did that. It wasn't.
Yeesh.
It wasn't effects. She did that.
I didn't want to sleep with the fucking
I'm
TV
a
off
big
at
horror
night.
guy. Like,
And I was older. I was older watching that movie. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sleeping with
good
some
one.
music on or something. Number 3, I couldn't walk past mirrors after watching this one. Candyman. Do you remember Candyman?
I
Do you remember
do.
Candyman? Oh man, couldn't go in the bathroom. I'd reach into the bathroom, make sure I hit the light switch first before I walked in and walked past the mirror. I couldn't stand Candyman. Freaky. 2, and this goes to the first one. The rest of them were just kind of meh, but the first Saw was fucking creepy, man. The doll and just the being chained up and having to saw off his fucking foot and that
twist at
whole
the
thing.
end.
That movie was freaky for me. But number 1, if you know anything about me personally in here, you know I can't stand a motherfucking clown. Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That movie still gives me
man.
nightmares. Them little cotton
Cotton
candy guns.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those teeth that the clown. Oh man! If I see that little lady in the middle of the mall with balloons and shit, I want to run. The one that used to be in
You
Golden
Golden
Ring,
Ring Mall.
and Golden Ring and
Back
White
in the
Marsh
day.
Mall back in the day. Again, this shows my age. All
right.
That little lady scared the shit out of me too.
All right, so I'll go. Mine's got a little bit of a mixture. This is actually it creeps me the fuck out. I haven't watched it in years. I'm probably gonna go back and watch it now just because it's good, but it gives me nightmares every single time. One of his best performances, Jim Carrey in The Number 23.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a pretty creepy movie.
It's a very creepy movie.
Yeah.
The first one, it happened at a time of my life where I actually was doing I was into it, right? But just watching it freaked me the fuck out. Paranormal Activity. It sounds weird.
No,
but
because
the first one was creepy.
The first one
Yeah.
was creepy because as it was happening, you made yourself buy into I'm really watching.
you
these
couldn't
people.
tell. It was like the Blair
I'm
Witch
watching
Project.
this
You
really
didn't know if it
happen.
was real or not.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
I almost had that on my list.
Blair Witch almost was on my list.
Get the fuck out of here. That's the worst fucking horror movie of all
scary
time.
at all, dude.
I walked out of the movie theater. It was so bad.
You were a little older. You were a little less gullible.
Were you
We're
in
gonna
there
go
with
for
your
Drew's
teddy
list
bear,
then.
Scott? What were you doing?
Fred,
We're not gonna go over Drew's
and
list
Fred,
then,
the
just
worst
so-
was with the camera shaking around.
Yeah.
Am I
We're not
having a
gonna go over.
seizure?
We're not
Thank
gonna.
God I didn't have epilepsy.
Hey, we're not gonna go over Drew's list. Just
Apparently that's on Drew's list. There you go.
Oh my God.
Another one for me. So my number 3, The Village.
I've never seen that one.
That was a good one.
Was
It's
it?
good, but it's. Whew.
Yeah.
Don't ever catch me out in the woods near
Until the
houses
plot twist.
Nick Short just said mine growing up Poltergeist as a kid.
Okay.
That was fucking deep and fucking freaky shit.
Fred, my number 2, Saw 1,
Yeah.
first one, right there with you.
Yeah.
The other one is just a personal thing.
Craig says The Village is so bad.
it really is. I didn't want to cut you. It's still the plot twist, and then you just
it's
Jimmy
look back at
Tupper and the
yourself
goat man
It's
of
the
Bowie.
creepy. Again, it's not that it's a scary movie. It's the horror suspense. I would not want to fucking be in that situation. That's what that's about, right? So the number 1 for me, scared as a kid, have not watched it since right when it first came out, and I watched it. Leprechaun.
Oh, okay.
Creeped me the
Leprechaun
fuck.
got me as a kid,
Creeped me the
yeah.
fuck
There's a lot
out.
that
So
got
when
me
I
as a kid.
started thinking of Chucky, I started thinking of Leprechaun too, and I was actually going back and forth on that, but the doll did it for me.
Leprechaun for me, no.
All right. What do you got, Drew?
I'm moving this one to the honorable mentions list because because of what you said, but because I came up with a better one. But I'll at least defend it a little bit. For Blair Witch at the time, though, there was no found footage. If there's no Blair Witch, there's no
I think you have to remember,
paranormal activities.
I
There's
think this
they
is
didn't-
where the generation thing comes in.
For me, with Blair Witch,
Now-
it was the build up
now,
to it.
I'll
Right?
get-
It was the
Disappointment.
anticipation and then being disappointed with
Now,
But you
What
looked
the
at
fuck?
it as
That's
you,
it?
You guys at your age level, you looked at it as a film.
yeah, you old bastards.
Yeah,
We
I'm
looked-
looking for,
our
I thought they were
generation-
looking for Bigfoot.
Our generation said this is almost like a documentary.
But for the
it was
definition
different
of
style.
We all
for the
saw that,
definition
too.
of as a kid, I watched it. So a lot of horror movies and slasher movies I watched growing up. I had an older cousin that I would watch it with him. He had all the videos of every goddamn thing. So when I watched it with him, it was already creepy enough. So then I decided to
Craig, guess.
I was watching my family's house for they went away. So I was house sitting, and I watched that movie, and there was already noises in their house, and I was literally 18, scared shitless because I'm like, it had me. It's different. Now you go ahead and watch it. Yeah, it's kind of. So that's why I moved it off my honorable mention list.
Okay.
So anyway, Insidious, that's my number 5.
I love you, Craig, and you're my new best friend.
So Insidious is at my
You're sweet.
number 5.
So are you, David.
At my number 4 is, and I kind of made it together because it's kind of a continuation, but the Halloween 1 and 2 for me.
Okay.
Because
yeah. But what are they on now? Halloween 89 or something at this point? Jesus Christ.
Watch Halloween Kills, but have no emotions, no whatsoever going into it. Because it's kind of funny, and then like, the story is terrible.
How old's what's her face? Give one for every year. That's about what they're at.
So, but the original 1 and 2,
Nick,
it was
add
like
a decade.
It was because you think back to like Mike Myers and Jason Voorhees, like the slasher films, like those were the icons, and those like the early movies of them until they both of them kind of got ridiculous. So those first couple movies for both franchises were like just legit.
Yeah.
So that was 4. So for 3, I'm gonna put Scream.
Okay.
Yes, it's not really scary, but if you're watching it,
the first one
and that's
was
the one
freaky.
I'm talking about. I'm not talking
It
about
was
anything else.
suspenseful.
But it was like, you look at it now and it's kind of like a parody on horror movies, but like at the same time, like you said, think back. I was watching it when it was on.
There were
like,
titties in that movie too. I don't remember who they were, but they were nice.
That's because that was the 90s. That's what,
There were titties in a pool.
titties in a
I
lot of
remember
things.
that.
So, but I would watch that. My cousin, another cousin had it on VHS. See, I'm a little bit
Not
older.
quite, David.
So
5 months.
I would watch the hell out of it, and it stopped getting less scary. It started just being a love of the movie. Because it was a slasher. It was suspenseful. It parodied horror movies.
Yeah.
It was a whole different ball game because it wasn't taking itself too seriously. So that's my number 3.
Okay.
Number 2, because of just again based off of just being frightened as a fucking kid.
Yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one.
The first one.
Just
Yep.
him. He's just him.
Yep.
Freaking scary. Like another one.
The
I
shit
would
where you're
see-
like, I don't even want to go to sleep
I
right now.
would see
Is he gonna fucking
my
be there?
cousin. I would see like the VHS cover and like
Yep.
just the little picture, the little tiny thumbnail of his burn ass face, and I would see that, and it would fucking freak me out. And that's without seeing the movies.
Yep.
I think somebody in there put in. I was curious on this one. Somebody said Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's
I've
not
never
really,
seen it.
I've seen
I'd say
Pan's
it's more
Labyrinth.
fantasy.
Yeah, I would
It's
put
more
that
fantasy.
way more in the fantasy category
It's fantasy, but it's
But again,
the-
it's
the
what freaks
themes.
you out.
The,
Yeah,
the
sure.
themes are freaky. The eyes with the creature, the main creature with the
Okay,
eyes.
fair enough.
Oh, so Craig, you stole my next one because
So-
on a similar theme. Go ahead, number 1.
So my last one, and this is actually I threw the Audible in because you guys made fun of Blair Witch. But Sixth Sense.
Okay.
I went and saw. I was a kid. I was
dead
young.
people.
I went as a kid with my friend's family. So all three of us as friends went with a family. Hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. You come with me? Yeah, let's go to the bathroom. I can't go by myself. This shit was scary because it would like you're talking to this kid, and Bruce Willis is talking to this kid, and then there'd be a dead person sitting right there. Or there'd be people hanging from the gallows in the thing, and it was like it was freaky. I was a kid. I
Yeah.
wasn't a 20-year-old when that came out.
All right, James, what's your list here?
Love horror
So,
movies.
like I said, I have Gremlins on there because as a kid, I'm starting off as
Yeah.
a kid, and then Poltergeist. But getting to my teenagers years, I thought I Know What You Did Last Summer was pretty cool because it had a cool cast, had the cool car, and shit could really happen. You know, you're like in like
I know I saw it, but I can't remember it.
What'd you say?
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I know I saw it, but I just don't remember.
That's
it.
another one with me with
Jennifer
Scream,
Love
like
Hewitt.
seeing him at the same. Jennifer
Okay,
Love
okay.
Hewitt, Freddie
Alright, got it.
Prinze,
And it's got,
Ryan Phillippe.
all of those-
Jennifer Love Hewitt's the only one that mattered back then.
No, hey, well, Sarah Michelle Gellar was. Have you seen Cruel Intentions?
I have.
the Final Destination.
Ooh.
That was pretty intense because it's like, see, as a kid,
That's shit
I
that
was
can happen.
scared, but now like any scary movie as a teenager it didn't bother me. So I'm like, oh, they're all actors; they'll be
So-
fine.
so do
I
you
could
pull
never.
off- do you
but
pull off
Final
to the side-
Destination, like when I see a tractor trailer with wood on,
That
it,
was
I'm
the
like,
second one, though. Just a heads up.
yeah, I know.
Okay.
All of them make you think.
You know
like,
what's-
yeah,
what's
like
funny
in the
because it just
bathroom
makes-
What's
with-
funny about that
Because
is
you're not going to have Freddy popping up as more or less than having an. Yeah.
what's funny about that is every time you hear of somebody dying in a weird way, you're like, that's
You
some
think
Final
Final
Destination
Destination
bullshit,
shit. Yeah.
right? That's the go-to.
And you know, in back in the day when Fred and I were younger, you would go to the hotel and see that little thing across the
Yeah.
fucking shower to hang your clothes up.
Yeah.
That when I went in the hotel, I'm like, I'm not hanging any of that motherfucker in there.
I'm not touching it.
So my number one, I don't know if any of you guys saw it or whatever.
13
but,
Ghosts was good, David.
13 Ghosts is a good one.
Misery.
I never saw that one.
Great fucking movie.
Yeah.
It gets you going because it's like shit that can happen, and then it's just like this lady is a fucking bitch.
Watch
like,
it.
like it's fucking intense, dude. Like I'm not gonna give it away because you have to watch it.
You got to go
Man.
watch it. You
So,
guys have to watch
What was
it.
that? What was that? I'm trying to think of
God,
it.
we could. The horror
I'm trying to
movie
think.
talk.
So this isn't a horror
love
movie.
horror movies
This is like
special.
this is some scary bullshit because it was all real life shit. Was it like 1,000 Ways to Die or some shit like that? Do you remember that when we were
1,000
young?
Ways to Die was a show on Spike.
Was that what it was? It was a
Yeah,
show.
it was
Okay,
a show
I
on
remember
Spike.
somebody having a VHS tape,
Oh,
and I thought,
no. You're talking about Faces of Death.
yes,
Yep.
Faces of Death. That's what it
Yep.
was. Man, that shit there. Like it was
And you
creepy.
know what's funny
It was
is like
gruesome.
they
it was,
weren't even
ugh.
real. A lot of them were like a lot of them were fake, but you didn't.
Really?
You just didn't know at the time because think of it, you're not. Your mind isn't screwed now. You can't put out something like that now because it's like you're almost going to believe anything's fake anyway, and if it's real, then you're just almost kind of like cool.
Right.
But then it was stuff that was like you're not supposed to be seeing this.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, it's
and
just
last
so
one, real quick, that I'm going to throw out there. You guys can chime in as many as you want. Last one because I think it was Craig or somebody chimed in with Rob Zombie. The House of 1,000 Corpses.
He didn't bring
Yes.
that up, but that's the one.
That's
that,
the one that
and
freaked
Devil's
me out the
Rejects.
most.
Those
Yes.
two together.
The
yeah.
clown thing in the House of 1,000 Corpses
But
or
they
whatever
were just
again. Yep.
sadistic motherfuckers that didn't
Yep.
care. The
Rob Zombie is just fucking
So,
twisted.
Yeah.
so two more that just to throw out. And they're more like kind of along
many.
the line of
we could
James,
talk for
like,
another. I know we're not
right.
going to. We could talk for another hour.
know.
This is
the
my-
real life stuff,
This
but
is all me. I love it.
old school. And if you go back and you watch some of the film, some of the backstage film as he's preparing for the scene, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Shining.
Oh, yeah, Shining.
The
Yeah,
Jack
that's a
Nicklaus
classic.
axe scene.
Yeah.
Like, but have you seen the videos of him like prepping?
Oh,
and,
yeah.
like working himself up for that. Oh, so crazy. And then the other one that I was thinking about, it's a little bit newer. Kevin Costner film.
Oh,
Field of Dreams. Field of
yeah,
Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
Scariest
That's it.
fucking movie of all time.
I know what you're talking about.
Ghost popping out of the cornfield.
Didn't he like die? But or no,
Mr. Brooks.
Mr. Brooks.
Mr.
That's
Brooks,
it.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
Where he has the multi.
Yep.
The creepy part about that is like, you
The
sit there and you
psycho.
think, and you're like, there really are people like this in the fucking
Serial-
world,
Serial killer.
and it could be anybody,
Right.
and you have no fucking clue.
Yep.
So just that one's another one. That's actually one of my psychology wise. I love that movie.
All right, I'm wrapping it up. This is a
right.
good show. Sleep well
Great show.
tonight, everybody.
Watch a horror
I hope
movie
you watch
before
a
you go to
horror
bed.
movie
Get
before you go to sleep.
I'm staying up. I gotta go watch a horror movie. All this horror movie talk. I'm staying up
man.
late.
We'll see you guys next Tuesday night, 7:30. See you.